You're on camera. Say something.
Last night and night before, there was 3 women walking down the street that way. I saw them. I said, hey, you 3 women, why are y'all walking down the street that way? There's nothing down there. And they flew away. I said, oh, them was some birds.
Putin's grooving to the RGB. Putin's grooving to the RGB. Get your necklace. Putin's grooving to the RGB. Putin's grooving to the RGB. From the tundra to the sea, gaming future, you will see. Sparks of lying, joy will stay. Join the glory, RGB. Putin's grooving to the RGB. Putin's grooving to the RGB. Get your plus. Putin's grooving to the RGB. Feel the power. Press start today. Don't trust China. China is asshole. 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 You weep for your dances, your lip sync in fame. But behind every scroll there's a shadowed name. Mao's red book whispers in your ear. Your every move tracked, your choice is unclear.
Yo, it's time to level up. Get that firepower. We taking it all. Yeah. Boots on the ground. I'm running this race. Brick buster with the knuckles. No time to waste. Through the mushroom fields where the wild things grow. Jumping higher than the clouds. Let the energy flow. Never fold. Never break. Every step I take, I make the ground quake. Big shell creeping. He's the king of the crawl. But I'm built for the heat. I'm taking it all. Keep pushing through the hills. Never back, never fall. It's a battle every step. But I'm taking it all. Fire in my soul, yeah, I'm breaking the walls. No matter what it takes, I'm saving it all.
Once upon a time, they had a plan to bring the robots back to thrill every fan. But somewhere down the line, they lost their way. Chasing after causes let the game decay. You had the touch, you had the flair, but you threw it all away. Did you even care? Dare to dream, dare to strive, but you let agendas drive. Now the game's not alive. The game's not alive. Promises were made, excitement in the air, but focus shifted elsewhere. Was it really fair? The fans were waiting, controllers in hand, but you chose a different stage, a misguided stand. You had the touch, you had the flair, but you threw it all away. Did you even care? Dare to dream, dare to strive, but you let agendas drive. Now the game's not alive. The game's not alive. Game's
every challenge, climb every wall. Catch your breath, but never let it fall. Power and honor light up your way. Legends are born today. Run to the light, fight for the glory. Show them your might, write your own story. Run to the light, fight for the glory. This is the heart of the arena.
Founding battle max. Founding battle max. Founding battle max.
Good news, everyone. We're about to be able to let you know exactly what the Bounding Battle Max is all about. But presently, what I can tell you about, because I asked the big boss about this, all right? So it's just between you, me, and the rest of YouTube that happens to find this video. So shush, okay? The real deal is that the Bounding Battle Max is a digital competition between pop culture warriors and you, the audience, should you choose a very certain size of audience, by the way. We can't reveal just yet how that works, but you'll be able to get onto the show yourselves out there and watch your town. That's right. And it's going to be a show, all right. You're going to compete for a very, very special trophy and your place in Bounding Battle Max Arena history. But that's all in the future here. But to discuss what we're looking at on screen right now, with me, of course, is the lovely Miss Nerdigans.
Hi, Black Shirt Army. How's it going? Kitty says hi too.
Zeno's here. Yeah, you saw him in the intro, speaking with his true tone, being a Russian blue kitty cat.
Yeah,
But,
his birthday's next week too.
Oh, well, we do have a special anniversary to celebrate here in a little bit, but I do want to say hello to the chat before we get too deep into conversation between us.
Mm-hmm.
We have it here with the Uncow, or the Unco. I'm sorry, Unco, maybe. Anyway, real shorts, any different? The brain rot will continue. Just the ones making money off of it will be different people. The more platforms, the less brain rot can thrive. This is a loss, not a win. The only thing I have to say about that is that while you're correct that the reels and shorts aren't going to stop, TikTok was something that we didn't have the ability to control in the sense of, you know, like reining in where that data was going, because that data can be used against us. American corporations are obviously going to use it against us, but I'd rather not have a foreign adversary being able to do it too. It's enough to have Mark Zuckerberg being able to warp everything you see. I'd rather not have Xi Jinping do it. So
the thing is for me is I opt out of all this stuff. So because there are ways to do it. Like on Twitter, for example, with Grok, I opted out of it because I don't want my data going to some AI.
Right. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, it's a dealer's choice for American corporations to have this information. When a foreign corporation has it, that's an adversary to us, it's bad. Yeah. Sort of like, we'll talk a little bit later about Tencent being designated as a military supply company by the DoD also a little later here. So bad news for China. We have RJ McReady here, and he says a lot of pissed off TikTok nurses will need a new place to promote the next scam-demic. It's like, yeah. Hopefully they'll keep the vertical thing, because I don't think those ladies are going to look too good in like horizontal. There's a reason why it's upside down, you know. But hail to you, Leslie Tarkin. She says, hail to all you lovely people. Hello again. Welcome aboard. We do have Sakura Mita here saying hello, everyone. We have Emily Kruger here saying hail to you as well. Welcome aboard. And Leslie points out a very important topic about that video that we were showing here. As you know, Transformers Reactivate has been deactivated. That's all over with. And presently, no plans for any new Transformers games in the near future. So, hooray. And she says, the Transformers franchise has lost the Allspark. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true.
Especially with what's happening with the comic book industry. Transformers comics might not be around much longer either.
Well, you know, Skybound Comics, they've been doing their best to kind of turn Transformers into something new by merging it up with G.I. Joe. Mixed results, in my opinion, but I don't like Duke being on the run. I don't like the whole Jake Skywalker treatment of Duke. I don't, you know, him being like crazy and unshaven and drinking all the time. I don't like it, but oh, Richard's here. Hello. Sorry. Ricard. Sorry, I'm full of funny names tonight. Apologies. But I do want to bring this to attention. Top of the show. Great news, in my opinion. Lego and Nintendo will team up for a retro console that could steal the thunder from the Switch 2. And this is from Nicola over on boundingintocomics.com. But the thing I want to attract your attention to on this is that while the Switch 2 is dazzling and wonderful and has so many different possibilities to it, we saw with the Steam
the Steam Deck, you mean?
Yeah, no, the Steam charts. That's right, the Steam charts. The Steam charts this year that only the games made in 2024 were played only 15% of the time that games were launched from the Steam launcher. Okay, so that's a big deal when you go into saying when you're Nintendo. Now you understand the PC market's a little thin when it comes to new stuff. Do you think that the console market's going to be any more forgiving? So I don't know. I think Nicola has a good point here that this Lego console that you can build with your grandpa, and then play old games on it. I don't know. I think it could steal the thunder from the Switch 2, which will be optimized and pointed toward new products, not familiar ones.
Well, there's still Nintendo Online where you can get all your Game Boy games and stuff like that too. But it's not the same. You know what I mean? It's not the same as having the actual Game Boy in your hand and all that. But maybe that's because I grew up with basically every iteration of the Game Boy, except for the original one.
I got that one.
I have, I started with the color because I miss when Costco did those bundles. I got the Pokemon bundle. And so it was the pink one with the red version, and it came with the guide as well, which was really sick. My mom bought us the regular Game Boy Advance, the Advance SP, and the Micro as well. So,
well, and I had my parents won the first Game Boy in a raffle thing at Walmart, in our local Walmart, and it was before I was born. And my mother was playing Tetris on it, and of course when I was born, it was just hanging around, so they gave it to me when I was old enough to start playing. It had Mario on it, right? And so then the color came along, and that was special because playing Pokemon Silver on that was I don't know about you gold kids, right? I don't know about you people that played gold. I try not to look down on you, but it's difficult, Silver's where it's at. Lugia made it into the movie. Okay.
I always was Team Silver. Silver is my favorite Pokemon game. Crystal is good too, but it's not as good as Silver.
It's not. Silver is wonderful. It's peak Pokemon gaming right there. And of course, you had the backlit color Game Boy screen. Yeah. So I had the yellow Game Boy. Okay.
Oh, you had the Pikachu one?
No, not the Pikachu one. Just straight yellow, because I love that yellow color. That macaroni and cheese yellow. Not the Pikachu one, but that macaroni and cheese yellow. It's over there. It's over there in my setup, but I just don't. It's the other side of the room. I don't feel like going and get it. Sorry. I like you people, but not that much. But. I love the thing, and I have a DS, I have an Advance, and I have the Advance, the clamshell Advance, the one that opens.
Oh yeah.
Love that. I used to play Kingdom Hearts, Oblivion, something Echoes of Oblivion or something like that. It was a card game.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah. I love that game. Final Fantasy Tactics on that was great.
Fantasy Tactics Advanced was one of my first Final Fantasy games. I think I played it before I played Final Fantasy 7 because I didn't have a PlayStation 1 at the time. I didn't play Final Fantasy 7 until my brother and I got our PS2.
Yep. Well, and Richard points out here that there may be some misunderstanding. This might be for the Switch as a kit. I believe it was clarified in the article that this is a separate console that's intended to just simply be sort of Nintendo recapturing the retro market for itself, as opposed to these other companies that they license out the technology to reproduce a teeny tiny little SNES,
Yeah.
And so I also have that. I also have two of the original NESs. I never owned a SNES. I only got to play the SNES at my cousin's house in the N64. I never owned an N64. I just never possessed me to own it. I like Donkey Kong on it. That was pretty much the only thing. But the GameCube. That's a special place in my soul right there. Like, I want to be buried with the GameCube. Like, that was great. That was,
yeah, my first console that we owned was a Nintendo 64, and that was because my brother and I paid for it. So the Nintendo 64 is special for that reason alone. So yeah, Chains of Memories. Yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, but yeah, and again with the Nintendo 64, we got ours at Costco in a bundle.
Yep.
Like back in the 90s and 2000s, I think they stopped doing it in like the 2010s or something. Costco had like amazing video game bundles. Like you could get multiple games with it. As I said, with the Game Boy Color, we got strategy guide with it for Pokemon. So it's sad that you don't get that anymore. And speaking of stores, I don't know if you've seen this, Cider, but more GameStops have been shutting down, and I was watching a toy hunting video last night, and their figures were like 90% off.
Yeah, well, we're also entering that period where like even figures are dying off here because like everybody wants a skin. They don't want the doll on the wall. They want the skin on their screen. I got to patent that. That's good. They don't want the doll on the wall. They want the skin on the screen.
I don't know. I think it's mainly Western figures that aren't thriving. Japanese figures are.
Oh yeah, no, they're fine.
Thriving, but like
those ones. Yeah,
Japanese figures though in the US though, it's just insane that you could go to like Ross and get one for $15 instead of like spending like $30 or $40. I mean, someone found one of the giant Bam Presto statues, the My Hero Academia one, for like $10, and that's like a $60-$70 statue. So.
Yep, and Hasbro did kill it. You're absolutely right.
They did it with the oversaturation and the really bad quality figures.
And they are intended to be expensive. They're intended to be, but not when they come here, because like the biggest thing that like we're talking about TikTok tonight too, so it's a good thing that we're bringing this up, is a digitization of commercial product. Okay, I'm not a socialist, I'm not a communist, but I recognize you can go a little too far. Remember that line from Jurassic Park? Your scientists, change that to your economists were concerned if they could rather than if they should, you see? And so that's where we're at, is that we've digitized everything because that is the lowest point place of like making a profit, right? So you just sell skins to kids. It's the same damn character. It's the same damn model. All it has is a different outfit on it that may or may not have taken a week to sculpt if somebody was busy doing something else at the same time. And so that's the headache that you're looking at now, is that everything's been moved to digital for transaction because it made everything expedient for the corporations. TikTok was at the center of most of that, promoting all of this digital transaction shit. So
yeah, it's not like back in our day when, Batman the Animated Series was out and there was all these different variations. There's still tons of variations of Batman figures that are out. And I just remember one of my friends, brother collected the Batman figures. So like every time I went over there, I would play with them and play with the Arkham Asylum playset that they had too. That shit was amazing. They don't make stuff like that anymore.
Well, and I don't like to praise the EU, but Richard brings this up and he says they treat us like numbers and little else. At least the big players do. And, video game corporations like EA and Ubisoft and Tencent were brought up by the EU and are under investigation for like what they call dark tactics. That's what they use, as dark tactics to get people to engage. And we'll read some of what TikTok admitted in court about what their tactics are to get kids to stay engaged with their content. So,
but yeah, TikTok is a really nasty place. It really is, from what I've seen. It's definitely pure brain rot. And there's a lot of, I'm surprised Japan hasn't gone after them, because they upload a lot of RAWs, like before, release date for manga. And I think there were some leakers on there too, other leakers for anime. So it's just insane that I'm surprised Japan hasn't gone after them for that. I mean, they just started cracking down on pirates in China as well, not too long ago.
Right. Which of the anime topics would you like to start with this evening? And we'll get into TikTok a little bit later. I want to give time for everybody to get the notification. I've tried everywhere I could to promote this evening to get people out and about. So if you could like and share this out, YouTube does not like us. Did a
YouTube just
poll.
doesn't like me, period.
We did it. I don't think it's you alone because we keep getting like hate speech strikes from 2 years ago. Yeah, that was fun. We got a hate speech strike about a month ago because Jacob looked into the camera and said, "I guess we don't have an intro tonight, folks." And that's hate speech. A black man cannot say that on YouTube. That's hate speech.
No, that's just YouTube being stupid.
Yep. I had to take one of those re-education courses that was like, is it appropriate to say blah blah blah? I don't even remember. It was like some strange thing about Gaza. And was like, it was an excuse to try and like brainwash me about Gaza to make me feel bad about it. And I was like, guys, this is not hate speech. He was just a black guy saying we didn't have the intro because the guy running the show just hit go live. He didn't hit the intro button first. That was it. There's no secret message if you play it backwards. You know, there's no secret message about where Netanyahu's living or something like that. There's not docs or anything. Come on. But
yeah, probably the biggest anime news that came out today was the Dragon Maid trailer that dropped.
That's right.
And it is coming out later this year. And this is like the first Dragon Maid anime content since like the whole thing went down in 2017, I believe.
We can't play the audio. But yeah. So now this is since Kinoani burned down, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now the new studio inherited this, or did Kyoani?
Kyoto Animation is still working on this.
Okay. So
and I believe it's the same team as well from
wow.
Dragon.
They lost a lot of people in that studio. I'm surprised that the team stayed through. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's June 27th. It's coming out.
Now, what is the premise on the movie? Have they explained or?
There's somewhat of a premise, but it's not. It's the same thing that we got when it was announced. This is supposed to be Kana's. I think it's supposed to be Kana's backstory, if I remember correctly. You guys can let me know in the comments if that's wrong.
So we're doing a bit of an origin story to build up a Dragon Maid cinematic universe.
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's adapting. It's continuing the adaptation of the manga where it left off, and one of them is Kana's story. I read the manga like years ago, and somehow I still remember that. But yeah, I think that's what it is. So in terms of the cast, though, the original voice actor for Ilulu retired. So Shiori Sugira has been casted as Ilulu this time around.
Now, I'm sorry, I'm just shocked that this survived the Kyoani fire. If you don't remember, guys, a disgruntled employee of Kyoani who felt that his talents were not being rewarded enough went in there with a jerry can, if you prefer, gas can full of gasoline, and went around basically setting the place up to burn while his co-workers were in there, and he burnt the place down, and it spread around to a few other places, but 33 people lost their lives in that fire. And Kyoani was basically obliterated at that point as far as going forward. So this is impressive. They were able to pull this back together, and I believe Dragon Maid is the most popular of their.
One of the most popular, yeah. I have the thing in front of me now for the synopsis. So basically, we're gonna see Kana's real father. Like they're gonna visit
the Dragonlands.
Yeah. So yeah, that. And you do get a little bit, if I remember correctly, when this happens, that's when you do get a little bit of a backstory and learn more about Kana and her past. So this will be really, really good. They're saying on the website it's going to be a touching family story.
Well, they saw the success of Spy X Family, right? And how that was able to negotiate slice of life with, action scenes and a fairly engaging conflict. So...
I think was able to do that too.
Well, that's what I mean is that I think that's why they're doing this movie now, right? Why
Because
they
of,
went
to
out.
take advantage of the popularity from like Spy Family, and to an extent, Sakamoto days as well.
That's what I mean, is like the family vibe that's kind of coming out of that movie scene right now. Like here in the USA, we have a bit of the resurgence of horror is poking back through again. It's not just relegated to the weird Blumhouse stuff now, you know? And so over there, family stuff is starting to poke through a little harder. Spy X Family was like sort of I wouldn't say flash in the pan, I guess is what I'm trying to express, is more of a, it was a trendsetter. Is what it was. And I think that is because we saw McDonald's respond to that. I refuse to be told that even the art style is similar. I refuse to be told that that little redheaded girl in the McDonald's commercials was not inspired by Anya. So I think that
wouldn't be surprised by that at all. But
that's what I think the Maid is about here. Is it's family. It's following that.
And same with Spy Family. There's a lot of tragedy too. Like in Spy Family, when you get, because I've been covering the manga since like chapter 3, and that was before it was on the Shonen Jump app. It was a Manga Plus exclusive at the time. It gets really, really dark later when you get to Lloyd's past, especially. That is extremely heartbreaking. And then in the more recent chapters, we had Henderson's backstory too, which was just, oh my God, it was so dark. But it takes place during the Cold War. That's the main thing, is the Cold War. And obviously the backstory would be like in World War II. So it's that, and same with Dragon Maid. Dragon Maid gets really, really deep and emotional, like Spy Family does. So it's very interesting to see this trend going on.
Yeah, I have my fingers crossed that like they'll revisit the I don't even know if it's the original Tenchi Muyo. Do you remember Tenchi Muyo, the first one there that came to us? I don't know if it's the first one ever, but
speaking of, because Tenchi Muyo was published by Tokyo Pop. Tokyo Pop is with Mattel now. Mattel just bought them recently.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll get a Barbie manga about Ken. I go for that. I go for a Barbie manga.
Got to put out a manga about the Disney princesses like years ago. So.
Yeah, we're like Ken's traveling through Mattel's multiverse, but it's manga.
Well, it actually could work because Japan's doing Western IPs better than the West is at the moment.
Yeah, right. But yeah, you see, that's a cool. I see you're laughing, right? But I think it would be a cool idea. You call it Kenuff. That's all it is. Kenuff. But rather than just the Ken style, just the K stylized, it's Ken Nuff, Nuff, and it's all like the hot pink with the splatter paint. Yeah. He's like he's lighting a cigarette. He's lighting his cigarette there, and he's cast it in like hot pink neon light, like the Blade Runner thing with the band. They go full Ryan Gosling. They have Ken. Oh, that's a great thing. They have Ken go and like try to become Ryan Gosling. Now he doesn't know what he's supposed to be, and that's part of his journey. It's like, well, I can't be with Barbie, so I guess I'll go be the guy that I'm based off of, and yeah,
that would be very, very interesting.
Right, Ken Nuff. Right, exactly. You could say, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it now. I'm going to do it. I'm going to use AI. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to use AI like that anime company's using AI.
Oh yeah. There's there's a couple of AI companies that are coming up. One is two for this anime that we'll talk about in a second. And there's an AI voice company that is coming up as well. And something, I can't remember the specific website's name, but in this article where I found this, they were saying that 2025 is going to become the year of AI anime.
Where did that go?
Oh, do you not have it?
I think I may have dropped the AI anime one. Where did that go?
Do you need it?
Yeah. I don't know where it got stuffed. Anyway, that's what's going on. What's that?
I have the link.
Okay.
Here, I'll send it to you in the private chat.
We run a professional show here.
Yes, we do. It's the companies are Frontierworks and Kaka Creation. That and they're using generative AI in the production process for this upcoming anime called Twins Hinahima. and it's about two twin high school girls who are TikTokers, and they're active not just on TikTok but on YouTube as well. The timing is very interesting, isn't it?
I think what it'll do is it will really like hit an SEO spike, and it'll get people talking, and it'll drive attention to whatever Elon Musk is cooking up to be the alternative, like Musk Talk, whatever the alternative he has for TikTok. Because you gotta understand, like, nature abhors a vacuum. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at now. What I want to do is I want to talk about the AI thing now. We're here. Okay. So I do this all the time. Part of my other job is to do AI work. It's not dealing with anime, though I wish, but it's not. Maybe someday it's coming that weebs rule the earth. So maybe someday we'll be making anime in my other job. But for right now, it's just other stuff that's not so cool. But here we have it. And this is the power of the current setup. All right. So the way I built the 01 intro is basically what they're doing here. You find a character model through design, through the AI's design system. So what they'll do is they'll run a generative AI, image AI prompt about a cute anime character with gray hair. And then they'll ask for a character design sheet, and that'll produce several expressions. It'll produce the character in like a full turnaround thing, and hopefully with the right amount of fingers. And so what happens is,
because some of the AI has been really, really bad, like the Coke commercial, for example.
Yeah. And so what you do is like I did with the 01 intro, is I made sure that we're pushing into less action stuff and more still or like holding shots, because that's the limit of the AI right now. So you can produce a slice of life anime pretty easily, because not a lot of action there. A lot of still shots, a lot of characters just looking at each other with the wind blowing. Very, very easy to produce these things. And so, yeah, I don't see why they don't do this. And again, like, the harder thing that we're all going to have to deal with is that this will probably swallow the anime industry whole once it's stabilized. This is an experiment to test the audience's tolerance for this kind of stuff. If it has any success, as you know, with anything in Japan, if it has any success, everybody's going to suck it up immediately.
Oh yeah. Oh, me exactly. I mean, my Anime Insider.
He's alive.
My Anime Insider told me that Shinkai's work, because it like was a huge hit. All the anime studios are like, okay, we need to replicate that.
Right, and then we're also dealing with this new technology where you will watch them just move here as they're being animated. You'll see that, oh, wow, this is very motion. Oh, wait, that's 3D. Okay. So this is another end of the AI. Okay. When you're doing like your movements in front of the camera like this, there is a LiDAR sensor that comes out of the camera that senses your distance from the lens and senses your distance from the space around you. Okay. And it reports that data into the video itself. It's coded into the data itself, and then also into the images you take. And so what this AI that they're working with to produce this animation effect is doing is that effectively it's doing mocap technology with this character. And so you do these movements, right? You do these movements, and then the computer registers that movement when you feed it in there. The AI then applies a skeleton over it, not like bones, like boo, spooky, scary skeletons, none of that. It's a wire skeleton, and that makes your movement. Then you can apply anything over the top of that. Anything that's meant to interact with that skeleton, like through Blender, through Unity, through Unreal 5, if you like. And so it creates this effect. And again, it's layering the AI technologies to make it work for you. You could probably replace voice actors in this as well on the English side. You just have, this is the kookiest thing get this, nerdigans, okay? This blew my mind the other day. It's been around for almost a year now, but I can record my voice and a video, right? Voice and video, like as we're sitting here, feed that into an AI, and it will make me speak Japanese with my mouth.
That is freaking sick. That's going to change the ADR side of things, because something that a lot of ADR directors will say or not ADR directors, I should say, them and some localizers will say it's difficult. They put memes in there to match the mouth flaps, which is a load of crap. It really is. They shouldn't be doing that. But if the AI is going to be working on mouth flaps, that makes it so much easier for a lot of the dubbing studios to get everything the way it needs to be.
Did you see that? Did you see this? Did you see it? Just watch, okay? I'm just going to refresh the video, get that stupid thing out of here. I don't know why that's up there. But come on, here we go. So you're watching her movement. You're seeing, what is this stupid thing? Stop it. I can't get it out of there. Anyway, so what he's doing, I'm not trying to like scold you like a teacher, but just pay attention to this. It goes quick, so you focus on this. Here's his hand against a regular old green screen, bunch of wrinkles in that green screen, by the way. A man in Hollywood would be sweating bullets if he had put that up, okay? This is like somebody's bed sheet, all right, on a wall behind him. And now it's anime. It's anime now, guys. That wasn't like you and me, like it went to a studio and Mr. Miyazaki sat down for several hours and drew that and made sure the background was nice and smooth and green. No, a computer did that in seconds, okay? And you can do that at home for free for most of this stuff. It might not be so stable unless you buy the premium package, but you can just do this. That's you.
It's kind of like it's modern day rotoscoping that's happening here.
Yeah, auto rotoscoping. That'll probably be what the term will be, is auto rotoscope.
Yeah.
Auto roto is probably what it'll be called. And that's just what they'll do, is they'll just be like, hey, Ryan Gosling, do you want to play Ken and Kenough? Let's just show up in this neat leather jacket we made for you. And we're just going to have you do a bunch of crazy poses in front of a green screen and slap you into a bunch of environments that correspond with that. Because here's the other end. The AI will match light sources when you put things on top of each other.
It's probably what's scary is that it's probably going to be more fluid than a lot of anime right now.
Welcome aboard, Timon. Well, it will be, because we'll watch it here in the beginning. Well, you saw how the hair moves in our intro. Look at her hair. Look at that.
It's not as hair helmety as some of the other anime that at least I've been covering anyway. Oh God, it drives me nuts. But it's still like on the top part in particular, the bangs are moving, which is nice, but like the top is still like very stiff. And it's still stiff. The hair in the wind is still stiff too, because usually if you read some of the manga that I do, you see like individual lines providing separation and texture, so it looks even more like actual hair. This, you don't have that. And a lot of anime is suffering from that problem, where it looks more like, say, a hair helmet than it does actual hair. And it annoys me to no end. I hate it so much.
And this is how it works, though, is that it's very simple, it's very quick, and the other thing with anime is that a great deal of it is derivative of itself. So you'll end up with things that have like a high amount of stylization, like the what is that? Gurren Lagann. You'll end up with something that has like a lot of stylization to it, like Gurren Lagann, where characters' proportions are stretched out a lot. The character kind of goes into this hyper cross-hatched look when they're gazed in light and stuff like that. So the AI cannot make that. Okay, it can't do that. It can replicate a few frames of it for a few seconds at a time, but it can't make that happen over and over and over and over and over again. It can do very simplistic, very, very industrial sort of movement. And what I mean by that is like a lot of anime looks the same.
Oh, it does. Okay?
And so the AI is pulling from that, because again, this is not like locally sourced stuff. They go out and they rip this stuff out of everything. They feed OVAs into it, just wholesale stuffing the AI full of stuff in order to rip off looks. So what they do is they go and they find like Vocaloid character design. And so because that is so prominent in there, and then they'll layer it with like Genshin Impact, and then layer it again with My Hero Academia. They'll layer it again with My Hero Academia. So that way the art styles are a little confused, but you get like general anime character, you know? And that's what you're looking at here is they probably directed it with like every schoolgirl possible from anime.
Well, they do have the hand-drawn character right next to it. So like that's the original and then that's the AI next to it.
But I have to like reiterate is that like if I just put that in there and I say anime girl, it will not consistently give me the same anime girl over and over again. I have to feed in the exact same parameters with different like pose instruction, or I will get a character who has blue hair and white eyes and a yellow schoolgirl uniform on the next generation. And that's what I'm trying to say is that like, in order to pull this off, you've got to have like a mile of like, just basic rip-off information, just anime titles, character names, all of it in order to make it like work. And because like when I was doing the 01 intro you guys just have to go back to the beginning. It's a whole minute long and I'm in a groove. So I'm sorry. I'd play it right now, but I'm in a groove. Well, I can play it actually. I do have it over here on the channel. So I'll stop sharing screen so we don't show anything I'm not supposed to because I'm a genius. And so what it is that you have to name an artist in particular in order for it to retain a style, or it'll jump around. You get like Tenchi Muyo style, you get Pokemon style, you know, it'll jump around on you and you'll end up getting like a really, I don't know, not what you intended out of it basically. And you'll have a rough time. So here's the 01 intro. And I'm just going to make that big enough to see. There we go. Hopefully, yeah, cuts it off enough. So the music is AI generated.
There's Kitty, who's being naughty at the moment.
Yeah. Now you see, AI generated. There it is. There's a movement. A little bit of hair movement there. And then these guys have like a full... I was surprised that the AI tracked their horns and their horns didn't like merge together into a whole new monster.
That could have been really hideous.
Yeah, and but I just want to watch, like, keep an eye on their horns. This is AI. I did not tell it to like specifically pay attention to their horns. It decided where those horns were and where they attached to and moved it all on its own. Look at that. That guy's head moves totally and those horns don't change shape. I can't stress to you how nuts that is when the computer had no direction from me to do that. It decided on its own that those horns were that shape and to keep them that shape as the head turned.
It's crazy.
Yeah. These are just still pictures through this one, and I'll get us back into the animated ones here. So this doesn't look animated to people, but I gave this image of our spirit psychic nerdigans here into the AI, and I asked it to give us a dramatic femme fatale promotional, and this is what it did. So you'll see at the end of that, she just kind of the character. Whoops, you'll see at the end of it here if I manage to do it right. So you'll see that she moves just a little bit there at the end, and that's what it did. Is it moved the camera around, and then it decided that her psychic powers kick in just at the last frame. And I thought it was dramatic.
That is cool, though.
Yeah, and then when Spencer is revealing that he's a fallen angel, it's not meaning anything. It's actually an experiment that created him. You'll find out when I move on with more of the anime, but it's a false angel basically, and that's why he has the black wings, but. The computer decided to zoom in and pan around him. All I did was fallen angel with black wings, dramatic promotional video. And this is what it decided to do. For Jacob, again, same thing, African-American anime character with sword, crosses in the background, promotional video, and it decided to do this. Generated all that. My Vampire Sephiroth, there I am. But that's where the hair comes in. If we get back to it. Okay. So as you can see with the hair moving, you know, that's weeks. That's weeks in an animation department. You know, and that's weeks in an animation department, and that just did that in 4 minutes. Most of that was just like, you know, the processing, getting it back and forth from the server to my browser window. So, yeah. Yep. And so that's how that again, like that's how they're doing it. Is they're layering the effects to this in order to create a yeah, legs for days. Yeah. Got a fuzzy in my throat. Sorry.
But yeah, I don't know if you saw this or not, Cider. The AI witch hunt. Well, the AI witch hunts have been happening in Japan for a minute, but the AI witch hunts happened recently on the Western side of Twitter, where a Westerner attacked or accused a Asian artist of using AI art, and it got so brutal they just left Twitter. They deleted their account. They were just done, and it wasn't even AI at all. It was all hand drawn.
I'm sorry, I don't know what this is. Something has crawled into my throat and built a small town. But Azam Ramley says, did you see the Corridor Crew anime, AI anime? This is to your point, though, Nerdigans. People had an absolute fit over this, an absolute mental breakdown, because these guys were able to stitch together an anime. This was the early days of image generative AI, by the way. So they were brute forcing this, and it was like hours and hours and hours of generations to get their characters right. So it wasn't like some walk in the park where they were like, turn us into anime, Mr. AI. And, you know, it wasn't like that.
People don't understand how AI works like that. And I mean, the same people will attack like the Kengan Omega mangaka Daramion for using AI in their art, but they made it clear how they use it. It's really interesting how they do it. Like for one panel, they fuse like different images together for the AI art, and it came out really, really nice.
Yep. What I was getting at here, Corridor Crew anime, they caused a huge hubbub about this, and I think that's where the West started the witch hunt for AI, because Corridor Crew proved that it was difficult at times to tell the difference. And I think that's where it got through, because like for a while it was just like, oh, kooky, funny, weird images with squid fingers. Aha, it's fun. You know, and that's it. Because you couldn't replace your face back then, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was just cute little pictures. Now, what they did was pretty cool because they figured out how to replace the face and stuff like that way back. So I think that we're kind of reaching the point right now where you're not going to be able to tell.
Oh yeah,
if it's AI or not.
Yeah, I bet that's why I need to ask Jeremy on about a couple of images from the recent chapters. But yeah, like something, because of my conversations that I've had with Jeremy on about AI and his AI art, I'm starting to have fun, like trying to figure out which is AI, which is hand drawn over AI, or is it hand drawn? And if I can't figure it out, I'll ask I'll tweet Jeremy on about it, and he'll tell me. It's really cool. It's very interesting how and this is how I've kind of figured it out a little bit, which is AI and which is like hand drawn over AI, is it will look more so towards the photorealism side of the art spectrum, and hand drawn over AI will add additional texture that you would not normally see in an AI generated image, and it gives it more dimension. If that makes sense. But yeah.
Yeah, well, as Leslie Tarkin points out here, is one of the wildest things is fans can use AI to make better videos and short films than multi-billion-dollar studios.
Oh, especially with Western studios in particular. I bet you that a lot of the AI stuff that's coming out is probably going to look better than, say, what Powerhouse is doing, because Powerhouse's art and animation is very stiff at times. So that's why I'm like, ooh, it's going to get ugly.
Right, and Richard's right. It's not even really AI either. It's not really artificial intelligence. There's nothing
No, it's
intelligent
generative
really
AI.
about it. Yeah, it's not even really intelligent though. It's a random number generator that'll narrow the pool of random numbers that it pulls from based on your prompt. And that's really all it is. There's no intelligence in there. It does its best, but again, like as it still messes up teeth and the mouth breathing. Yeah.
Well, that's why you have to go back in and hand draw it. That's why I say it's. That's why when I bring up hand drawn over AI, that's exactly why, because it's not going to have the texture. It's not going to have like could be missing things like teeth and stuff like that, and that's why an artist will go back in and draw that,
Yes.
like
Yep.
on the tablet, obviously. But you know what I mean.
Well, no. It's like I use the AI for a lot of different things. Like as you saw here, I made music and anime and all that different stuff with it. Great. I also use it for inspiration with my writing, and I think that
Yeah, that's
AI
what
is
a lot of people are starting to do too.
right.
In terms of even as far as the planning stage for
Yep.
anime, they're using AI. That's what my insider told me. Like,
Yes.
straight up. So it's
Well,
getting.
one of the things the machine doesn't do is get distracted by energy in the room.
Yeah.
And that's something humans, no matter how Vulcan like you are, you do get distracted by the energy in the room and forget certain things that you then have to go back and be like, hey, man, we forgot to ask about this one filler episode. And so the AI will give you a very static response that you then can add energy to and decide to move things around with. And it really expedites the conversation. And so and what I'm getting at is that I am not rooting for AI to take over production of media.
Oh.
I don't think that's wise. There was an anime about that called Carol and Tuesday. Anybody remember
Carol
that
and
one?
Tuesday is so good. If you haven't
But
watched, it's really good.
the conflict in that anime is that AI computers decide what media gets distributed, what is popular in media and what is not popular in media, who becomes a singer and for how long they become a singer. And so that's bad. That's bad. That's bad. What this is that it breaks the monopoly of AAA gaming studios, of these gigantic Hollywood studios, of these entertainment empires that otherwise don't want to deal with the average person's concept of entertainment. It breaks that so that you and I can make anime, not like 50 episodes worth, unless you got a lot of Adderall, like a lot of Adderall. But you can make 3 or 4 episodes of half an hour anime in a year. You can do that. That's not hard. It's gonna be like a headache, but you can do it. You can make your own movie now. That's coming out. There's a romance movie this year that's coming out that's totally AI generated. It looks horrible, monstrosity. Definitely doesn't get through the uncanny valley territory, but they're doing it.
But I feel like that there's a difference between how Japan is using AI and how everyone else is using AI. Because from what I've seen is Japan is still using, actual art. And I mean, we saw it in the trailer. There was the sketch too that they based it off of. So it's not going to be like completely AI. It's not going to be just like straight up copycat. No. It's just going to be like, they'll probably have some artists come up with the basic designs or whatnot, and then the AI will take that and roll with it. And there's still going to be animators supervising, and animators like adding texture to it. But I mean, I said it before, I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago, that Japan is going in this direction because they don't want to do any more offshore, or they don't want to outsource it. There we go. That's the wording I was looking for. They don't want to outsource animation anymore. They want to keep it in Japan. So but again, there's that concern that that AI will just straight up take over the animation's job, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't.
Well, there's one sector that they definitely can go replacing everybody in, and that's the localizers.
Oh, yes. So, I covered the 100 Girlfriends Season 2, Episode 1 on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/packergirl. And what I do with those is I have the anime and manga side by side so I can compare it, the art, compare the dialogue. And in the first episode that came out this past Sunday, there was quite a bit of a difference. There was a little bit of meme localization going on there. And I double checked, because that's the fan translation. I double checked the 7 Seas translation, and there was no memes up in there. and that's rare for that to happen in Seven Seas manga localizations. But yeah, they and I was like, I saw that, I was like, what? It does not seem right. No. And one of my followers confirmed that well, one, that this is on the Bilibili global platform as well, which is not good. I don't know about Musasia, if it's the same or not. It might be. But the other thing that I had confirmed was that the French subs are more accurate. And that's not surprising that this is an English localization problem, because that's what it always is. It's always only in the English version that this happens.
Americans can't sit through anything that doesn't reference meme culture. What are you talking about? I can't wait for Dunkirk to be remade with like all of those like get dunked on, bro, bunch of like, you know, teabagging in the background. All's quiet on the Western Front, has a bunch of Doritos and Mountain Dew in it, and Pedo Bear shows up and drags off a bunch of people into the trenches. It'd be great. Totally historically accurate, of course. You know, and that's what's going to happen, is that eventually they're going to decide that people are too dumb to enjoy high entertainment. Right now, it's like, oh, there's these dumb kids. We're doing it to these dumb children. They can't sit through anything that's not reminding them of Fortnite and Among Us, you know. So,
well, the other one that was really bad was this one. I'm going to send it to you right now. It's this one. This one was like the big. I sent it to Spencer the other day, and Spencer was like, "Dude, what the fuck is this?"
A mistake. As soon as I bring it up, and there we go.
Yeah, it's go up one more. That's not it. It's the that one. That's the one. Like, what the hell is that? What is that? That's what I want to know, Crunchyroll. Like, what are you doing here?
Is this character meant to be a grammar Nazi of some kind, like someone who patrols speech?
Well, the person that's saying this is not on screen. It's Rentaro. It's a response to this character here, like just almost having an orgasm over eating. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, the Kirby joke was cut out too, but I think that was because of Nintendo more than anything.
Well, I don't see. This is one of the things that I noticed, is that I was going back and I was watching a few retrospectives on Gundam Wing the other day because I was nostalgic for that, and I wanted to think more about Trey's Kush Renata's perspective on the world than I had when I was a teenager. And one of the things that I noticed is that they were talking about Dorothy and how Dorothy in that character, she's the lady with the crazy eyebrows. That character in the Japanese version is portrayed as having like a fetishistic love of war, you know, of conflict, that humanity being at the throat of one another is truly the only exciting thing to her. And she's a schoolgirl, all right? So it's meant to be very unnerving. And when over in the US, instead, Dorothy is less concerned with war and more concerned with proving Relina wrong, that peace is not the way and that conflict has to happen. It's not that she's so in love with war, but she is very much hating the concept of peace. And what I noticed about that was that in the old days, they were trying to not necessarily adapt a character or rewrite them. They were trying to make sense of it to an American audience.
Yep.
Having a teenage girl,
having
a teenage girl in the U.S. obsessed with war, bit weird, bit hard to kind of conceptualize. That character's not gonna, you know, I don't know, not
There's
gonna.
Some out there. There's probably some girls out there that do that, but like it's a niche thing.
So Dorothy instead was rewritten to be like high school mean girl that got way too serious about it. And that was like, you grew up in high school, some bitch will just take issue with you, and decide that whatever you do is wrong. And that's what Dorothy was in the story, but like on the scale of space war. And I was like, I don't know who decided that, but that was genius. Meanwhile, you got hoomps and floofs and sussy baka finding its way into these anime.
Oh yeah, the rando stuff too. the randos, I found that was in the Seven Seas localization, so that one is more staying true to that. But oh god, I don't like that randos is used, and that includes you Seven Seas. That was really stupid. The rest of it, it's right in the Seven Seas localization, but like that, the randos was in there.
Richard says that his girl is like Dorothy. Like the best advice I have for you is get her into drones. That's all I can say, man, is get her into drones. But yeah, you see on the other end, this character says, we barely know each other. And then in the anime, like a rando. And now I wonder sometimes, like when we were younger, as we were watching these things, if they were doing that, you know?
Oh, we know they were doing that in like the 4Kids and Bandai versions of anime. But yeah, like it's just crazy. It really freaking is. Hi, kitty. And I mean, like in the 100 Girlfriends is a good example of this. And even the fan translations, they will have like totes and stuff like that. But that's because you're dealing with a Gyaru character. Gyaru characters, from what I understand, they're kind of like a valley girl in a way. So I could be wrong, but that's how I've seen them portrayed in fan translations. I've seen oh my god, Kansai characters have like, and this is why I appreciated like stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh's dub, is because it had that accent realness. But like Kansai Ben, you see it's like a lot of it sounds like something that it looks like something it would be like a heavy accent. And yes, fan subs are still better. They are. It's getting harder to find because even the pirate websites are just uploading the officials. So it's getting harder and harder to find fan subs of series, which really stinks.
Man, you're really not helping that Dorothy situation.
No, you're not.
Man. Just if she starts hanging out with some girl who's the daughter of a peace-loving king, just, I don't know, talk to her. Just make sure everything's on the level. That there's not some weird kid running around saying he's going to kill her. You know what I mean? Just confuse the hell out of her with vague Gundam wing references and explain nothing, okay? Just
But yeah, in terms of the localization, like I've said this before, like the main ones that are having this issue are Seven Seas is just notorious for it at this point. Viz will have it from time to time. I'm starting to get a little bit worried about what's going on at Manga Plus because some of the Medibang localizations I'm starting to see a little bit of like bizarre slang, which is weird because with Medibang, what they do, and this is what fan translations do too, is they utilize translation notes. So when I see like deets up in like Asura's verdict, I'm just like, wait, why is this here? Why is this here? Like, could you just give me a translation note and explain why that's there? Like that there's like a Japanese slang or something that's happening there. It's so weird. I don't know what's going on over there at all.
Well, you posted a chart from Crunchyroll that might explain some of it.
This definitely, so I saw this on Reddit, and the moment I saw it, I'm like, yeah, that definitely explains the current state of the Western anime fandom. Because primarily what you see here, it's all battle shonen.
Yeah. Well, that's all that's ever come here, by the way.
Yeah, that's what, up until at least 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago.
I would say more 5 years ago, because like you got to remember Toonami and Annie Monday and these little slots were the only place you still, even now with cable television, you can only do that. There's no dedicated anime TV,
Well, unless you go on like Pluto TV and there's.
Well, sure. You know what I mean, though. It's like if you're cruising around.
But I'm saying well, even back in the 2000s, there, in terms of manga scene, there was a lot more licenses being done there. I think it was Comics Beat that said this, that it was 2005. There was tons of licenses getting announced for manga, and now there's like barely any compared to back then. And there was a lot more variety too.
Right. One of the things that I've been hearing from people here in the West is that they're burnt out on isekai. They're very tired of it. And this, one of the things that you'll notice here is that the colors in these examples are very dull.
Mm-hmm.
And uninspiring here. And I know the anime themselves have very colorful palettes. But it's curious.
Soul Leveling. If you read Soul Leveling's palette varies. But man, if you have not read Soul Leveling Ragnarok, which is the sequel, I really strongly recommend it, especially if you finished the original Soul Leveling, because that art is just stunning. There's a variation of the color palettes going on. The action is a lot. The combat art is a lot smoother. And I know that dude who made God rest his soul was dealing with a terminal illness, so it definitely reflected in the art. But man, what the artist's name is Jin, that's doing Soul Leveling Ragnarok. It is just a different beast. It is so beautiful. It's what I really would have loved to see in the original Soul Leveling. But yeah, Aniplex's or A1 Pictures Solo Leveling adaptation, I'm sorry, it is not pretty. It is not, but I'm spoiled. So
well, and just what I wanted to point out is that like this was who collected this, by the way?
It was someone on Anime Reddit that did.
Anime Reddit. So when you're putting all this together here, obviously this wasn't a professional job like somebody, because like they would have chose different things. But what I want to point out is that the person who made this doesn't have a lot of passion for these anime.
Mm-hmm.
They did not choose bright color things that are dynamic. They chose things that are exemplary. Certainly, you can look at all these and know exactly what they're talking about, but they're all very dull, so you'd scroll right by it, you know?
I think they're just doing it to make a point that it's mainly battle shonen that's popular in the West, and it explains like why you see like all these people asking about what shonen series to watch, why they don't want they want something with no fan service, or stuff that makes it like porn. It is so weird with what's happening.
Well, one of the things that has to be acknowledged is that our end of this spectrum gets a tidal wave of this stuff, whereas Japan gets it kind of like fed to them spoonfuls at a time. Okay, when something is successful like Demon Slayer, you are pummeled with it over here, right? In Japan, there's 10 other anime, 10 other manga that are competing for that spot. We don't get exposed to those over here. We only get exposed to Demon Slayer because it sells very well. And so, you know, Rising of the Shield Hero, what was that one? That other one, Overlord, a bunch of other ones that are isekai based. These all arrived at the same time. In Japan, they didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and that's very different for us.
Before the days of Demon Slayer was around for simulcasting, but like I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like before simulcasting.
Well, even so, like we're not getting the 100 other anime that are on the same channel that Meshi Dungeon is playing during the simulcast.
Oh yeah.
When the simulcast is over, we're done watching. We don't get the next anime behind that because it's not selling as well as Dungeon Meshi. And that's the thing, is that like we don't get a variety. We get what sells best over here. And so that gets exhausting after a while, because Japan's economy is derivative. If something works, it gets beaten to death, you know, and I think that's why that chart looks so sad, is that like anime over here has become so rapidly cookie cutter because it's shonen battle anime left to right. And there's only one formula that works in shonen battle anime, is that it's a shonen battle anime, is a boy fighting. And that, yeah, it sells really well with young guys. Sure. Demographics are shifting just like they are in Japan. So what are you going to do about it now?
And this is why Piracy is still rating supreme, because like a lot of the stuff that's not on like Crunchyroll, for example, you could get on a pirate site. Yep. And it's the same thing with manga. Like I've seen so many people like say we want Piracy gone. It's like, dude, if it wasn't for Piracy, a lot of the series that are coming out now and that are being simulpubbed, they wouldn't be simulpubbed. No, it's because of pirates that that's why series are getting, like Gacha Yakuta, for example. Gacha Yakuta was straight up only available via fan translation until I want to say maybe a year when K-manga came out. That's when the officials came out for that. So like when I see mangaka like talking about piracy and stuff like that, a lot of them are like they're understanding of it, and they're just like, as soon as it's available, just support it. And a lot of people that I've talked to in the community, they've even said it to some of these mangaka, is that well, it's not available here for us, it's not licensed here, and as soon as a volume comes out in Japan, even because there are a lot more people are importing now from Japan, they'll buy it.
Yeah, and you got Richard in the chat pointing out that mainly Jinro, Vampire Hunter D, etc. They're not even making stuff like that these days, and it's out there, but it's definitely downturned. And Azam Ramley says many people don't like anime like Fairy Tale, and that's the hard part, right?
Because it's edgy. They don't like. They're scared of. It drives me nuts. People are just so scared of boobs and ass. It's like, dude.
Well, no. It's not necessarily that people are. It's that the youth are. A poll came out about 6-8 months ago. We covered it over on Bounding, that children, like I say children, this is under the age of 18, don't want to see sex in their media anymore. And again, for you and me, when we were growing up, we were coming on the tail end of the satanic panic. So like a lot of stuff was really restricted. People wanted to talk to you about how many Pokemon cards you had and just what those Pokemon were doing. If you liked the Digimans, that meant that you were probably worshiping Satan because they had an angel character that wasn't one of God's angels. It was one of those things where, like Cowboy Bebop, you had to be up late at night and turn your television down really, really low and then get close to the speaker so you could hear everything and watch it up there on your big crinkly tube TV,
I didn't have that issue, though, to be honest, because my parents are more on the liberal side of things. So They and I had a TV with cable in my room, VCR and everything. And they didn't care what I watched. I got to watch what I wanted.
One of the things that like anime was, though, is what I'm getting at, is that like anime used to have a characterization to it here in the West that it was new, that it was fresh, and it had a different personality to it. So people were afraid of it. The adults were afraid of it because they couldn't make sense of it. It was because, again, their style of storytelling is very different from ours, and it's not alien. They just take a different turn. They go left where we go right. That's all. And that's where it confuses adults. And so when Fairy Tale comes along and it has like the ecche in it, and it has like a plot that isn't like straight on just like Dragon Ball Z, people start getting a little confused about what they're meant to take away from it because we don't have anything around it. Let me remind you, look what happened to Big O, right? I'll give you a big example. Big O, absolutely beautiful anime. I love it. I live and breathe the soundtrack to that anime. Absolutely great idea. Nobody's heard about it outside of the folks that saw it on Toonami and Adult Swim in the years that it ran in syndication.
Yep.
And you want to know why? Because it's a giant robot anime. And for whatever reason, the US won't get behind giant robots. It's like our next topic right here with the Red Ranger Isekai. For whatever reason, here in the US, putting a helmet on Batman is just, you can't do that. That's not allowed. That's again chases people away from the anime side as well as the tokusatsu side, because that's all tokusatsu heroes are. They're just Batman with a helmet. But for some reason, you put a helmet on Batman here in the West, and people are like, "Nope, I'm out. I can't. This is for children now. Bye." And that I don't understand. I really don't.
Well, Ranger Reject actually had something about tokusatsu being for children, because we're getting to the point in the Ranger Reject manga where we're learning even more about like how the Dragon Keepers were conceptualized, which literally just happened in the past couple of chapters, and the downfall of it, and we got to see more of the production side. And the director was talking about how tokusatsu is intended for kids, but they were trying to make it fun for the adults too.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's weird how this is happening. But I do want to say, in regards to Red Ranger Isekai, that CGI is a hot mess.
Yeah.
It is. If you've read the manga and you've seen, and I cover this on Patreon as well, the Maximum Kazuna Kaiser, that they don't look the same. It is not the same. Not the same mech. The Kazuna beasts, they are like bare bones. It is just so frustrating. I went off in my live reaction about that. And then near the end of the episode, we see when Red Kazuna goes up against a dragon, and that dragon, that was not a dragon. I don't know what the fuck that was. It was not a dragon. It was a CGI mess. It is insane with what's happening. And also, yeah, you get a lot of hair helmet realness up in there too. And Kazuna Red, and he's not transformed. He looks off at times in the face. I know I'm not going to get like a direct adaptation in terms of art from the manga. That's a lot to ask, but it'd be nice if they actually looked like their counterpart, a manga counterpart, if that makes sense.
So Leslie brings up, she says, I remember the original Satanic Panic where Care Bears and Smurfs were believed to lead kids to witchcraft. Well, here's something I didn't know about the name Smurf. It is believed to stand for socialist men under a red father.
Oh my God.
Well, hold on. Papa Smurf looks a hell of a lot like Karl Marx.
Oh my God.
And he's wearing red. And the other Smurfs are wearing white. And it's hard to not notice, like, that's an interesting point. That, yes, and there's only one woman and everyone takes Papa Smurf's orders and nobody collects money. And Gargabel's bad because he wants to make money. And I'm like, holy shit, it's the Communist Manifesto. But, like, Smurfs. Yeah, the He-Man thing was real. Yeah, it's really bizarre what was going on. That like the Cold War got super deep over here. Like everybody got a corner of it.
Yeah, and then we have the return of the Satanic Panic. Now it's just it is insane now that because people are thinking because the woke left is taken down and they lost. I call them the woke right. So deal with it. The woke right is trying to like
fill the gap.
Yeah, they're trying to fill the gap, and no one is outside of the usual suspects. No one likes that, and it's because of the Puritans that liberals came into power. Because liberals were at the time they were about freedom and they were about being uncensored. Now it's not. Now
they're about burning down California.
Oh God.
Speaking of explosions, though, you should check this out. This was part of the promotion for the Red Ranger Isekai. This features the voice actors and the suit actor. Or you see the voice actor, he says, he's very surprised that this happened, you see. And the lady voice actors are very confused why they're standing in a gravel pit because they don't know. All right, so go back from the top. They were not told. They were brought in here to do like an interview, and the character walks over to them, and of course, the voice actor's like, oh, this is the character from our anime. That's neat that he has a costume, and he does that pose, and just like in the anime, boom, the explosion goes off. And it surprises them because they weren't warned. Because this is a trope in the anime, if you don't know.
Yeah.
What happens is that your stereotypical Red Ranger finds his way into an isekai setting. Now, we just talked about how isekai is kind of overblown. This is one of those parody ones. So he goes into the isekai world, and all of the usual tropes that a Sentai hero has are now incredibly powerful against these isekai villains who otherwise are running roughshod over the world that they're in. So it's pretty neat. I like it.
It's gotten really soap opera-y lately. If you're not caught up with the manga, you won't get it. But God, there was some Jerry Springer levels of chaos up in there.
Yeah,
not too long ago.
And Richard says, you think Japanese people are nice and loving until you're viewed as one of them, then you get pranked. Yeah, if you haven't seen Japanese prank shows, we can't show them on here because the ones that are available to us get hit pretty hard. But they're pretty merciless. The elevator, the floorless elevator, remember that one?
Yeah.
My favorite thing was to pretend that those people are dead now, that the Japanese population is dropping due to prank shows. You know, the prank contestants are dying, and that's why the population.
Yeah, it's not porn. It's not porn. Porn's not the issue. I mean, South Korea has a porn ban, and yeah, so I can't believe people are saying this. It's just so fucking wild. This 1950s mindset is just unbelievable. I can't with this.
What it is it's a reaction to the oversaturation of sexuality in the media. This was a conversation when we were growing up. You remember there was people on television, Dr. Phil, Montel, whoever Donahue was. They were all talking. Yeah, Maury. They were all talking about the oversaturation of sex in media. And again, when you look at what the 90s was doing, yeah, it was a step above what even the 80s tried to do with regular entertainment. And then the 2000s came, and the thong song stuck around for quite a while, and that was a chart-topping song about women's underwear that was not presented as a joke, but rather a glorification of it. Again, like, I see where it came from. I don't think it's cool to like respond to it that hard, but it is okay to say like, hey, maybe we don't need the Olympics in France being celebrated by a man wearing a corset, leggings, and his own thong. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe it's okay that anime characters have big boobs, but we make sure that those big boob characters are on Adult Swim, just to be double, triple dip sure that Johnny's not getting the wrong idea about Nami. All right. And that's it. It's not that hard because we grew up that way. Believe it or not, that's how it happened for us. We got a little bit of that, right? You got a little bit of that with characters that were like Jessie from Pokemon that had her very trimmed skirt that was way above her knees.
It had a little bit of thigh. Because she was a femme fatale kind of thing, and
right.
She wasn't like it was an underboob more than anything else.
Well, and that again, you take a look at this other end of this is that you have characters that are like Ryoko from Tenchi Muyo, who were very open about
this. Muyo was on Toonami. Yu Yu Hakusho was on Toonami as well.
Correct. Yep, and these were ones that didn't shy away from those sexual behaviors, but they also didn't spend a lot of time glorifying them. Like Faye in Cowboy Bebop is glorified for her feminine beauty. She's like in the movie, her top is cut off of her. You don't get to see anything. Don't go looking for it. You don't get to see anything. But their top's cut off of her. All right. So that's not something that belongs after school. I got that part. I see that line in the sand. It's great.
Well,
but it's not that it shouldn't exist either.
After school, though, it wasn't Adult Swim Toonami. But,
right. But Yu Yu Hakusho wasn't showing that level of nudity. Botan would end up with her skirt blown up sometimes, and Keiko, oh God, I can't believe I can remember this. It's blowing my mind that I can pull this right out of my ass.
Yeah, Keiko had her skirt pulled up by Yusuke a lot.
Yeah, and he would, that was his teasing method for her, right?
Yeah.
But what we weren't seeing was like, I'll go back to Cowboy Bebop because it's one that's very popular. People can visualize. Faye would bend over in front of the camera view, and you would be looking at her boobs because, again, she's using her sexuality to get her mission accomplished because that's the character, as she should, right?
Yeah.
If you want to survive as a woman, you use those talents to get what you want done. It's a little ridiculous to try and overpower a man strength-wise, you see?
Mm-hmm.
But Yu Yu Hakusho was more into the violence, where people were complaining about that one because Yusuke was either chopping the limbs off of characters or blasting holes through them. And so that one was where the contention was. But again, not as big of a problem these days because, as we've heard from our friends on the woke right, they don't have a problem with that hyper violence.
No.
It's perfectly fine that the boys splatter characters all over the ground and do all these horrible things to them. It's the sex part of the boys that's bad. If there wasn't all of this boob talk and lactation talk and all of this weird orgy stuff in the boys, it would be perfectly fine to these people. Meanwhile, I'm disgusted by both ends of it.
I'm disgusted by the amount of censorship that people want.
Yeah, sure.
That's my thing. And when people are saying that porn is not a freedom of expression, that kind of bothers me too. Yeah,
well,
exactly. U.S. cartoons had very, very dirty jokes.
You try getting through a Bugs Bunny cartoon without some reference to the battle axe. And if you don't know, that's a ye olde term for your wife. You know, that you called your wife a battle axe. And that was it, because she was just, you know, outside of war, useless. You know, and that was the joke, is that you call her a battle axe. You got jokes that
I mean, Bugs was cross-dressing a lot of the time as a joke. And that's and
it used to be
people
a joke.
on both sides are offended by it, and it's just like, why?
It's a cartoon rabbit in a wig. Let's calm down. And the other end of this too is that, like, you ended up with American cartoons like The Proud Family. And The Proud Family had a lot of adult context to it. Look at Rugrats. Try watching Rugrats with a child in the room and not blushing. Okay, you want to talk about some heavy conversation? Like, you go ahead and rewatch it. The heavier mom, that's the mother of the twins.
Betty, you're talking about?
Yeah, Betty. She's talking about her husband's penis sometimes.
Yeah, she is.
And talking about their sex life, and that's just happening. That's just there. And you as a little kid is like, I'm like Tommy. I want to play imaginary games. And I have a cousin like Angelica that tortures me. Meanwhile, the adults are like, so Stu was really putting a pipe to me last night. And it's like, it's right there. You know, Chucky's dad was talking about how he hasn't gotten laid in a couple of years. And
well, yeah, because his wife died.
Yeah, right. Well, no, he's like literally talking to Stu and Drew about not having sex. He's just not using that word.
That's the thing, though, with cartoons back in the day. It's kind of like what I was saying with the tokusatsu. It's that it's made. Some of these cartoons are made for kids, but they try and have it so that the adults can engage in it too. Okay, I gotta like. Chitara is like 70% responsible for the furries that we deal with today. That's true. There's no way around that. You ask anybody who has a thing for fluffy stuff, and they tell you Chitara is like top 5 for them. Okay. And, you know, it's a pretty character. Absolutely. They drew that character for you to find her attractive, but not for the cat qualities. Just a reminder, not for the cat qualities. Nope.
I do miss that adventurous nature in our media, and we just don't have it anymore. There's a lot of
scared to do it.
I wouldn't say they're scared. It's that they just don't think like that. They flatly don't think like that.
No, a lot of it is that they're scared because they don't want to get canceled, which is, I still don't believe in cancel culture. That's just what the situation is. I'm not too sure that it's even that. It's that flatly the talent that they have. Excuse me, I'm going to puke. I'm talking about this Disney stuff. I'm going to puke. The talent they have hired. Well, not to mention the talent, the Tumblrers, the actual writers. We saw She-Hulk's writing room, right? That was just a bunch of yucca-mups. They're not people who are engaged with a passion for creation. They're engaged with a passion for agenda. And so they don't think, man, it would be really cool if the Power Rangers movie we're making wasn't about Zordon and Rita and some stupid crap involving Angel Grove and 5 amazing teenagers that don't give 2 shits. You know, that would be really cool if we did something different. Like maybe we make them compete for a wish to change the universe, and it's a whole new group of people. And we just reintroduce the Power Rangers concept as like some loose thing around them, but the story focuses on the battle to get their wish granted. Wow, that would be really interesting and probably relatable to kids who don't feel like they have a few. Nope. 5 teenagers with attitude, floating head in the tube, space witch in the dumpster. Get to it. And that's what you're going to get every time. Now, as you told me, anime in Japan's going the same way, where they're just revisiting stuff and like, well, we'll add a modern twist to it now. Well, that's what they're doing for Gremlins and Goonies. Well, Gremlins, it's a sequel, so I don't know if that's going to be the case. But for Goonies, though, no. There's some things that don't need a remake, and Goonies is one of them. Goonies is a freaking masterpiece.
Yeah, Tigress. Yep, you're right. The Kung Fu Panda character.
Oh, yeah.
Tigress, even though she's barely distinguishable as a female. Like, if it wasn't for the eyelashes, you wouldn't know that's a female character. and annoys the crap out of me. But again, like that's where we're at, is we're kind of like, you know, the media has progressed into the adult space because adults are the majority consumer now. Children are relegated to, like, I don't want to smear the PJ Masks, right? Because I think that was a legitimate effort to try and take the success of the Marvel universe, cinematic universe, and like distill it down for kids to be able to feel like they're part of the action. Whereas like their older brother, like I'm talking about 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Whereas their older brother, that's like,
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but PJ Masks isn't like the worst thing. Same as
No.
Sophia the First. Like people love, even adults love Sophia the
Right.
First because it was very imaginative and it's a fun adventure.
Right. What I was getting at though is that PJ Masks set out to distill something down. Today, we are not getting that for children's entertainment. They are simply feeding through agenda. Like I see, this is ancient now, but there was the Blues Clues episode almost 10 years ago now, where they had a pride parade, where they sang all this praise. They sang all this praise for all these different divergent lifestyles. All right. And, you know, feel however you like about those lifestyles. I ask people all the time, what is the difference between a heterosexual couple and a homosexual couple? And it's a very simple answer. It's the sex. Why does a 5-year-old need to know about that? He doesn't.
Well, there's ways to like, I understand what they're trying to do in some media where they're trying to show that there's people that have 2 dads and some people have 2 moms. Like, I understand that, but like, I don't like a pride parade. The way that they did it was more so preachy than anything else.
Yeah. Blue's Clues used to be a really positive, you know, thing for kids. Granted, I wouldn't classify it as education, but it was an attempt to take the success of Pee-wee's Playhouse and make it less nightmare inducing.
That's true.
Only so much. There was still a mailbox that was perpetually trapped and couldn't go anywhere, but was completely sentient. Like I can't imagine a greater hell. It's like that Cherry. Cherry couldn't go anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had all the other characters that could move around, but Cherry was always stuck. And it's like, what a hell, right? People sit on you, they fart on you, and you can't even get out of the way. You know, and then you got the mailbox, and he's permanently fused to the side of the house, rain or shine. He can come inside, sure, but he's always there.
It is creepy.
It's you know, it's one of those things where like as a kid you don't think about it. When you're an adult, you're like, oh my, what a horrible hell to be just permanently stuck there. And then like if Steve failed to solve one of those clues, does he end up trapped in the picture? Like that, like if Blue's Clues falls into like some kind of public domain, those Winnie the Pooh horror movie guys,
they're gonna go after it.
Where Steve gets stuck in like a medieval painting and he has to survive, you know, because the dog trapped him there. But we do have this situation with the dance that's going on.
Oh, yeah. So Japanese fans are starting to notice that there's something very sus going on in some of the art and animation for modern anime. And one of them with Kuraiwa Medaka, which is a fantastic manga if you're a Kaguya-sama Love is War fan. They noticed it right away. I think it's in the OP. And what they said was like, it seems like that they're trying to make a TikTok dance and try to appeal to the Zoomers, which they probably are. Because with Zoomers, from what I saw in an article recently, that the viewing, how Japanese Zoomers are watching anime and older adults are watching anime is completely different. And that Zoomers, just like here in the US, because they're so used to watching YouTube and all that, they're into the short form stuff. So, yeah, it's just so cringy. It's so cringy.
Well, it looks pretty dumb. That's the thing. When you want something like this to work out, what you need to do is you need to be able to make it a group thing, which is what they did, but they didn't give group assignment. Okay? So when you look at a K-pop dance, the different K-pop performers have different choreography from one another at certain parts of the song. Sometimes they're unified, sometimes they're not. And this is what works for, yeah, it looks like K-pop. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to copy the K-pop thing here. But the problem is they forgot that you don't make a cheerleading squad. That doesn't work. So half of these characters needed to be doing like some kind of ballet pirouette while the other ones were breakdancing in the front. And that would have been much more TikTok advantaging, because that means you got to get your friends together, right? And that's usually how this works, is that somebody standing alone and just doing this looks stupid. Now, the fun part is, though, right? And I don't think a lot of people notice this, but if you turn those characters sideways, like right now they're doing this head on, right?
Yeah.
What's this? Oh, yeah, it's the Trump dance.
Yeah.
They're doing the Trump dance, guys, but they're doing it straight on, so you can't tell. They're doing the Trump dance. I don't think that was on purpose, but that's what that's going to look like.
Yeah, that was probably a happy accident.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's the Trump dance. So if you want to put like the YMCA behind this, right, and make them do like the praise Trump dance and change the text out for all like praise Trump and stuff, it's MAGA, and all the characters run at the screen. Yeah, yep, yeah. The gopher dance, yes, the gopher dance, the whack-a-mole dance, yep, the whack-a-mole dance. Yeah, it is. It's the Trump dance. They got the Japanese schoolgirls are doing the Trump dance in your area right now. Single Japanese schoolgirls are doing the Trump dance right now in your area.
Oh my God. Like I sent the Together post for Kawaii Badaka, and some of the things that Japanese Twitter has said about this dance is just so funny. Like they're saying, I don't know what they spent the budget on, but regardless of the VTuber, this dance is just too lame. And then someone else said, like, what, the choreography is just like your mom. Response.
I can't stop seeing the Trump dance. Like that, whoever you have your contact with on the other end of this, just send them a video of Trump dancing and be like, was this on purpose? just that's it. Don't lead him in. Just ask him, is this on purpose? And see what happens. Because guess what? If the people on the other side of this get the idea of that, Donald Trump may show up in an episode of this. Anime have not shied away from having presidents in the past. American
Trump's been in multiple manga already.
Yeah.
He was
the Death Note one was cool.
Well, he was in Kengan. He was in Hinamaru Zumo. He was in Dr. Stone, and was it God of High School that I'm thinking of that he was in? No, there was another series that I think, another manhwa I think he was in. I just don't remember if it's God of High School off the top of my head. He was in Dead Man's Day-to-Day Destruction near the, I think it was it near the end of the series? I can't remember. But yeah, he's in that manga too. Like Trump's in a lot of manga and even some manhwa too.
So, that brings us to, was there another one you wanted to cover here?
I think we got all the main ones with the, let's see, we got the AI, we got the, yeah, I think that's the main stuff I have for, there's also the, I don't know if you wanted to show it or not, but I sent it to you, the wood carved Gundam that's built from scratch. There's a video for how it's done, and it has articulation too. It is fantastic. And the article I sent you does have the video for it too. Yeah. Isn't that, this person made this with wood, hand carved from scratch.
Tony Stark built this in a cave.
Look how detailed that is, especially in the chest. It's just amazing.
Yep, that is Wing Zero, all right. Custom edition.
Yep.
Oops. All the way over here. And
yeah, there's a video right here.
So you go, bamboo. Looks like they're regular old bamboo strips there for chopsticks that he's got. And he decided to use that wood to build this thing. So
this is incredible how he did this. So you don't need a 3D printer. You could just use a block of wood.
And several months of your life.
Several months of your life is probably right.
Yeah. That's why we use 3D printers, so we don't have to do several months of our life. But now I'm interested if the Gunpla World Builders competition is going to allow wooden Gunpla to be entered now, because this
Look
is
how beautiful that is. That is just so detailed.
Well, imagine you get Tequila Gundam done up in like the palm tree wood. Yeah, in the palm tree wood, you know?
Oh, that'd be sick. But look at that. He's able to attach it. It looks so stunning. And he made the joints too, so it's articulated.
Yep. So again, you could build Gunpla out of wood now, guys. Congratulations. Yeah, right. Damn, right. Exactly. You could build Gunpla out of wood now. Like I said, the Gunpla builder competition is going to be way different after this now. Have you seen Song Wukong from Rubber Tires? Yep. Yep. Again, like there's trash art has always been one of the more captivating things in the world. There used to be a bunch of exhibits, even all the way up here in Maine, that people were using like, you know, old action figures and things like that, and like melting the plastic into certain shapes, but you could still make out that like Buzz Lightyear was in there, but now he was like, you know, reshaped into some kind of like a David figure, you know?
Yeah.
From like the sculpture of David, just to make a point, you know, that archetype, you know, the male archetype. But yeah, must have been a lot of planning. Yeah, well, most of these guys that do this kind of stuff are lifelong Gunpla fans, and so once you've worked on this stuff long enough, you kind of get like well, you know the shape, you know the feeling. And so this guy probably was looking at the Gunpla pieces on, you know, a Wing Zero model and was like, oh, I wonder if I could carve this and replace this piece with a piece of wood. And here we are with a whole new way of doing Gunpla. I wonder if Bandai will get on this, because you can print wood now. There's a way you can 3D print wood. So,
and it might be, would it be cheaper than plastic though?
Well, no, this would be special edition stuff, you know, like you'd sell this with like Char's whiskey, and you'd sell like you'd sell Zazabi in like bamboo to go with Char's whiskey, you know, like a red bamboo. And you have, you know, and that's what you do. But you know, like the head of the Zazabi is the like the glass, you know, the rock glass or something, you know. Yep, laser cut wood. Yep, there's that one too. Yep. And again, like maybe Bandai will do this, because again, like they get inspired by the Gunpla competitions all the time. So,
and the Gunpla community too. So yeah, I could see them doing this. I really could, like a special edition wooden version. And plus, like some people like doing wood projects. I mean, people still make birdhouses out of wood, for fuck's sake.
Birds. But that brings us to the topic in the title. Almost an hour and 45 minutes in, but we're cool like that. So a new report has arrived, and it says that TikTok has brainwashed America's youth. And boy, howdy, do I wish they were kidding. But what we're about to talk about here is pretty intense. Nothing violent, mind you, but that kind of stuff is recommended to kids. But this is a very serious thing. I think I have something selected down here on this one. No, I don't. Okay, cool. So it's a neat little graphic where they replaced the little red book that Chinese citizens were required to carry with them with the TikTok logo, intended to make it look like they were holding their phones with the screen facing outward to show their allegiance to TikTok. And it kind of drives the point home. That's why I wanted to show you the graphic. But over here on another article, this is speaking about the same thing. This actually has quotes from teenagers who were experiencing TikTok and kind of explaining how the situation goes. So there's a focus group conducted between Kenya, the Philippines, and the USA. And this had like an attempt to collect opinions and experiences from the different demographics in those spaces in order to say, like, it's not just the USA that's reacting to it this way. And so what they found is that, like, here's a quote right here. It says, when I watch a sad video that I could relate to, suddenly my whole For You page is sad, and I'm looking at sad talk. And so it's become such a big problem that the kids have actually assigned a name to this phenomenon. I'll go on. We'll read here again. And says, Lewis, 21-year-old graduate in Manila, who has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, told Amnesty International his experience with TikTok's For You feed. And he says this. He says, it's a rabbit hole because it starts with just one video. And if one video is able to catch your attention, even if you don't like it, it gets bumped to you the next time you open TikTok. And because it seems familiar to you, you watch it again, and then frequency of it over your feed rises exponentially. An 18-year-old, Francis, in the Philippines, also had this to say about his experience. And he says, when I watch a sad video that I could relate to, it affects how I'm feeling. This is sad talk does to it. Another focus group participant explained, the content I see makes me overthink even more, like videos in which someone is sick or self-diagnosing. Remember the phenomenon of WebMD and you've got cancer? WebMD, I've got a paper cut and I don't know what I'm supposed to put. Oh, it's cancer now. You remember that? Everything was cancer on WebMD for a while. It affects my mentality and makes me feel like I have the same symptoms and worsens my anxiety. And I don't even look the videos up. They just appear in my feed. Kind of like how you start talking about Chrysler minivans and all of a sudden Chrysler minivan ads start showing up wherever you go on the internet. Interesting. And Joyce, who's also from the Philippines, had this to say, and she said, I deleted TikTok for a while because I was very addicted to it. I would spend so many hours on TikTok just scrolling through videos because you can't help but wonder what goes up next when you scroll. So what's going to come next? And so these kids were explaining that when you open up TikTok and you start looking at videos you're being recommended, if you watch a video that sort of rewards your feeling of sadness, right? So every now and then people will go and look up a music video that reminds them of a breakup. That happens. You're feeling kind of nostalgic for somebody that you lost and you just kind of want to remember the moments. You'll look up a video you guys used to watch together or a song you used to watch together and reminisce over that. Well, maybe you also are looking for like some advice about how not to feel sad. And so what happens is that TikTok registers that you are looking up sad information and you are spending more than 10 seconds looking at it. All right. Now for them, more than 5 seconds is a pretty long time, but more than 10 seconds means you are engaged in the content. And so it will continue feeding this to you. Now, as an adult, you know that you can go up and say to like the little top corner and say, I don't want to see this anymore. Most kids don't think like that. Again, like unless you tell them, they don't really investigate that kind of stuff. They'll find it on their own. Sometimes certain kids are curious. Certainly not everybody's walled off from it, but most of these kids don't realize that they can shut that stuff off. So they keep getting it over and over and over again. Now, because they open their TikTok up and they engage with it because that video is there from last time, that is then informing the algorithm to continue sending that information to them. All right. Inversely, what happens with like shorts and what happens with reels is, for whatever reason, Mark Zuckerberg and Alphabet Inc. decided that rather than having a constant stream of a certain topic exposed to you, they would feed you 3 videos on that topic and then break it up with something else you had been previously looking at. So like I said, you're going through your day. Let's say you were watching videos about molten salt reactors, right? You're trying to just wrap your head around nuclear power generation that's not necessarily uranium based. Okay, neat idea. Anyway, back at the ranch, the video you went from that was then into the sad one where you were reminiscing about that breakup. So what happens is on YouTube and on Instagram is that once you've gotten 3 videos on the sad topic, and this isn't on purpose, like sad topics get recommended less, that's not what I'm saying, is that once you get recommended 3 videos on a single topic, the 4th video will be referencing what you were previously looking at. On TikTok, if you get 3 videos in on the same topic, the 4th video will be on that topic. And that's where the problem is.
Working. Yeah.
And that's where it works. Now, I don't know if it's a deliberate choice by Google and Zuckerberg to make sure that the content you're fed after those 3 videos is either positive or distracting from the 3 videos you had gotten in a row. I don't know. It's usually, for me, it's 100% different than what I was getting the 3 videos of. The 4th video will be 100% different. TikTok does not function this way. Now, we know why. They were brought into court and a lot of stuff came out that they didn't like. So below, you can see TikTok is aiming to create such a compulsive use, which in turn can lead to problematic use disorders and behavioral addictions, which then compound the harms in the other 4 clusters. Now, these abuse clusters were more about like affecting children's behavior. Here's direct quotes from what was going on in that case. It says, it's better to have young people as an early adopter of TikTok, especially teenagers in the US, because they have a lot of time. All right. Teenagers in the US are a golden audience. If you look at China, the teenage culture doesn't exist. The teens are super busy in school and studying for tests, so they don't have time and luxury to play social media apps. The product in itself has baked into it compulsive use. This is from TikTok with their own stupid mouth. The reason kids watch TikTok is because the algorithm is really good. But I think we need to be cognizant of what it might mean for other opportunities. And when I say other opportunities, I literally mean sleep, eating, and moving around the room and looking at somebody in the eyes. So they are deliberately trying to create content that robs you of your sensical autonomy, meaning you will not want to be a human, meaning you don't exist in your reality. The phone is your only source of existence. You won't move, you won't eat, you won't sleep, you won't interact with someone sitting right next to you. TikTok will be your only reality. So take a look at this. They provided this because they were forced to. Now, what has happened is that they hit a ceiling among young users. For whatever reason, the kids behind the alphas didn't pick up TikTok. Haven't figured that part out yet.
I think they probably didn't they just go to Twitter or Instagram?
I think it might be Instagram, because Instagram's a different beast than it was 2 years ago. It's become an entirely different environment over there now. It's not just wall-to-wall yoga pants and shampoo ads. There's actually content now. So
yeah, I think that's probably where they went, because I see a lot of people talk about Instagram still. I'm still waiting for the graham crackers before I sign up for Instagram, though.
But what I need to say is that 97% of users under the age of 17 have TikTok on their phone. That's what this graph says.
That is sad, and that is kind of scary.
This is a Chinese-owned app that reports data back to data centers in China, not the US. So wherever your kid goes, whoever your kid meets with, whatever they post on there, the language, the location, all of it is fed back to the Chinese Communist Party. 97%. So here's another study that came through. And so this is from the New York Post, so take this however you like. But it says, the app has proven to be a dangerous breeding ground for psychological problems, proliferating negative health content, triggering dangerous Tourette's-like tics in some teen girls, not boys. Specifically, young women are developing Tourette's or Tourette's-like symptoms thanks to overexposure to TikTok.
Probably something like what happened with Cartman in the Tourette's episode of South Park.
Well, and they're seeing right now that even potentially spurring an uptick in an hyperattention deficit disorder. All right. That's what you're looking at now. So that the content itself is training the brain to move slower and react to information slower. Like not in like it's taking information in slower, like you can process it better. It is not registering the information before it's moved on to the next, meaning the brain is waxing over. That's what this is. So beyond these risks is the real possibility the CCP could literally be influencing Americans see on TikTok. the app's personalized growth algorithm and endless scroll function, for instance, means that as soon as kids open the app, they can relinquish control over their screens. The NYU Stern marketing professor, Scott Galloway, thinks that it's inevitable that China is taking advantage of its unfettered access. Quote, if I were a member of the CCP and I saw what we had a vested interest in diminishing America's standing strategically in the world, I would take my thumb and very elegantly and insidiously put it on the scale of content that reflects America in a bad light.
Well, I mean, you've seen what happened on TikTok, that like people were saying Hitler is right because of that, because of some of the stuff that's posted there.
Well,
so
this is the big push. Okay. So the thing about this is getting confused. Do you see the youth are complaining that TikTok is being taken away from them because because TikTok allows them to exist outside of the media's control. All right. This is what they're saying, is that we can post videos of the devastation in Gaza, and then we can't do that on this other place because they'll delete them or shadow ban them. And this is the only place that we can get the truth out about what's happening in climate change and blah, 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 blah.
That's
blah,
how it was. Well, that's what Twitter is. Twitter's always been like that.
Well, so, what they're doing is that TikTok promotes this stuff higher than X ever will and Instagram ever will, because, as I just read, it defames the US's strategic standing. If you go around promoting to 97% of 17-year-olds that Gaza is a genocide and a complete erasure of human life, what do you think they're going to think? They're not going to hear any other side, especially not with the videos they're being shown. They're not being shown you and I sitting here having a civil conversation.
They're showing propaganda videos.
Right. And so what's a 17-year-old who's had his driver's license for a single year supposed to make out of that? Exactly. So they come out hating that information. They come out with a very strong opinion of people from Israel. All right. And people who have sympathies toward Israel as well aren't safe from this. Okay. And so again, China's pushing this stuff. How did we end up with this psychopathy around this guy, I Show Speed? Because content where he's going out and doing his thing gets pushed very, very hard. So kids that go and annoy I Show Speed become propelled to very high status on TikTok. So the quest to fuck with I Show Speed goes through the roof because you can get big attention off of that. The dopamine rush. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what they push. Meanwhile, Douyin, their version of TikTok, same logo, Douyin strictly promotes China's greatness. It is wall-to-wall educational, pro-China, pro-culture, how-to videos, celebrating teachers, celebrating the government, celebrating China's history. None of them, there's no protest videos, obviously, but there's nobody on there that's like pounding nails into their hands. There's nobody eating Tide Pods, dancing in traffic. None of that. Same app.
I mean, I've seen people heading over to the Chinese version of the app. Now I think they call it it's Red Note. That's the one. They're heading to Red Note.
Well, it wasn't Red Note 2 weeks ago. It was Red Book 2 weeks ago. But the Red Book talks about Chinese Han racial supremacy. So they changed the name pretty quick.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're heading to Red Note in record droves. And like people on Twitter, that I follow or, their followers, they're just like laughing it up because it's like, dude, you want like pro-LGBT content. You want all this other crap. Yeah, China doesn't tolerate that.
Well, and the other thing is that the citizens don't want it either.
Yeah, and that's why that's why they're making they're dividing the servers into mainland and foreigner next week.
Well, let me show you what's going on. So what happened is TikTok shutting down on Sunday. It's over with. Tencent's ByteDance has decided that they don't want to sell it. So they're going
Trump is trying to extend it a little bit longer.
we'll see what happens. But Sunday right now officially is when they're done. It may change between now and then, but for now they're done. So the people that don't want to move over to any other social media platform are now jumping to yet another Chinese app called RedNote. Now RedNote functions similarly to Instagram. It functions less like TikTok, but more like a TikTok Lite. However, the culture of Redbook is not like Douyin.
No.
Douyin is supposed to be a place where you are celebrating the country, you are posting good things and positive things. RedNote is where you go to engage in propaganda, wax the state, be a general, you're an adult in China and you can't outright say that Chinese politics suck, but it's basically an adult but not sexual space. It's not meant to be for dances. It's not meant to celebrate alternative lifestyles. It's just mostly, to be completely honest with you, it's mostly people that are not in China interacting with people who live in China, meaning people who either left or have family in China. Interacting with them has been the primary use of this app. And so this guy right here, he has a very fun thing to say. He says, just be gay and don't talk about you being gay. And he says, man, the transphobia on here is going to make me delete this app. Poor Nick Osborne, poor guy. And you have, it says, there's only two genders out here, male and female, and that's how they're reacting to this. And Zoe's like, well, I certainly did not expect homophobia. What the fuck?
Like, dude, these mofos do not know shit about China. They obviously don't. They don't know that China is the one that's actively committing genocide and has been for at least almost a decade now, I think. Yes. They actually have concentration camps and all that. They don't know, and they're supporting it, and they're calling the people fascist, and it's like, dude, you're supporting fascism, literal fascism, or I should say, borderline authoritarianism.
Well, Richard says here, we did arrest Chinese secret police. Yep, they're around the country because
they get busted in San Francisco a lot.
They have money, and we have people who think that's more important than life, so they do this. 50 Cent Army and all that jazz. Yep. Asking Westerners. Yeah, well, that's going to come to an end pretty quick here. But China does have a lot of popular new halves. Well, I don't know. I don't think that they're allowed anymore. Xi Jinping, I think it was last year, the year before last, banned.
They cracked down on femboys and stuff like
femboys and divergent lifestyles. So you're not allowed to promote LGBT in China. Well, you really weren't before, but it's really, I guess it's more black bag territory than it was before, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, yeah. And I mean, we saw last week, they raided a doujinshi author, a yaoi doujinshi author. So yeah, they're really cracking up the pressure now.
And so we are laughing at this, that China is going to end up separating their RedNote app so that people in China cannot interact with the Westerners, which again was supposed to be the goal of the great, red firewall, right? The great firewall out there. So this is what happens though, is that people who are either first generation or fresh immigration from China are now cut off from their family members. And so here it is.
Hey guys, I know it's pretty hypocritical of me to make another update so soon after my previous video where I said I wasn't gonna comment on the situation with RedNote anymore. I deleted that video just because it was a lot of negativity. I didn't need that in my life. But RedNote or Xiaohongshu just released an update in the greater China region with the function to separate out foreign IPs. And there are now talks of moving all foreign IPs to a separate server and having a different IP for those who are in the greater China area.
All right, so you're seeing her start to kind of have a problem here where she's starting to get emotional. Now, again, the background of this is that she's a person either from China or has close relations there. And this force that's being caused by the wokies jumping on the RedNote is going to prevent her from talking to her family.
I know through VPNs and other ways, people are still able to access the app, but essentially this is going to kill the app for Chinese Americans who actually uses the app to connect with the Chinese content, Chinese language, Chinese culture. It's a way for me to feel, I don't know.
So yeah, she goes on to bellyache about this stuff, and I'm not trying to dismiss it like saying it's a bellyache, but she does just kind of whine about it. She made her point already, but the thing is that this was not really bad in my opinion. This kind of was one of those domino effects of like, yeah, it further shores up China having influence over the U.S. by making sure that Red Note is limited to Chinese users and separate from Western users. Now you don't have this, little line of communication from China right into the US any longer. All right. They have to go through channels we control, which is X, which is Facebook, which is Instagram, these kinds of things, these channels that are banned on their end in most cases. But it'll make it harder. But what it does is that just like TikTok removing this data collection, it removes the ability to coordinate people who want to hurt this country. Because again, people, you want to roll your eyes out there. I get it. People thinking out there, oh man, what an overreaction. You and I are perfectly fine. 100,000 other Chinese might be perfectly fine. 200,000, 1 million other Chinese may be completely fine. But that's a country of several billion people. Okay? And you're going to find that 100,000 of them don't like the U.S. too much. And they want to do some pretty violent things to the Japanese as well. Okay? And so you get 1,000 dudes over here with that mentality connected to 100,000 people back in China. You do the math.
Keep it quiet.
And that's why I have a problem with like people complaining about TikTok being shut out and Red Note getting split up. I understand that people were using it to have their family connect with them and to, maintain a cultural connection to China. But what are you doing here? You made the decision that our ancestors came here, right? I'm not native to the land. My family didn't come from Siberia to become Native Americans to then become Mainers. We came from Europe, very simply. And, they moved here and they assimilated. They learned the language. They embraced the fashion, embraced the culture. When you come here, you have to leave the country you come from behind. And I'm talking to people that want to march down the street on St. Patrick's Day with Irish flags. You heard me. I don't like that shit either. You're not in Ireland. You've never set foot in Ireland. You don't even know what Ireland smells like. Put that flag down.
Well, some of them do. Some of them are like from first generation or whatnot.
Even so, they're here, If you're not an Irish citizen, don't wave that flag. You're an American. Wave the American flag. It's cooler.
But there's something there is something that I should mention to counteract that is like for my example, my people. Like if you ever watch like a pro-Israel rally on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, you see American flags amongst the Israeli flags. And not everyone there is obviously from Israel. They probably have family there. But no, they wave the American flag there. Even Kitty hates talking about China. God damn it, Kitty. You need to just stop. But yeah.
Kitty.
Silly Kitty.
Being chilling.
But I mean, I think it's the same. I could be wrong about the Irish community. They might have I think they might have American flags up too, but I just know it from my experience.
Well, that's just it. Is that like, I just think that if you're an American citizen, we kind of cover everybody. We kind of do, so when you go waving another flag, it's a bit like, I don't know how people would feel about having, an adversarial flag or even an allied flag in another country outside of a sporting event. We've kind of forgotten over the years that we're not all just a homogenous economic zone, that we're not all just like, yeah, we're all human. That's great and dandy, but my culture is vastly different from China's. my culture has some qualities of Japan's, but they're not influenced by each other. It's a coincidence that they share certain qualities, mostly due to geography that we both sort of inhabit. But my culture is entirely different from California. We barely see eye to eye on most things with Californians that aren't, exemplary like yourself and Spencer and Jacob. Quite a few Californians, coastal anyway, are just people that speak an alien language most of the time. And so this sovereignty that I'm talking about is very important, because when you lose that, people who take advantage of that, like China, can move in and be like, oh, yeah, we're just waving Chinese flags all over the place. We're hanging them up everywhere to show that we are proud of being Chinese.
But that's usually not the case, though, from what I've seen with Chinese, especially like first generation Chinese immigrants. If you look at in Australia, for example, they have anti-CCP rallies every week. And they've been doing that for at least 4 or 5 years now, maybe 6 years. But yeah, they do it because they left China for a reason. The only thing I feel really bad about, though, in terms of this, is that they're not able to talk to their family. It's like saying that WhatsApp was banned, because I know a lot of people that talk to their family in Israel via WhatsApp, the WhatsApp app. So because you could get around like the international cost, because otherwise it costs a shit ton of money to call someone in another country. So that's why people use the WhatsApp app. Like, the thing that I don't understand, though, with this is, why aren't these people going to Snapchat, which is very similar to TikTok? It doesn't make sense to me at all.
It's just one of those things where we've heard TikTokers complain that they don't want to be under the U.S. government's control, but they're perfectly fine being under the CCP's control. It's been one of the more mind-bending things about Marvel Rivals as well. Is you can go check the video, we did it here on the channel. The comments in there are like, why do you have a problem with this? Nobody talks about Tiananmen Square in the game chat. Fantastic. But the fact that China wants to hide a genocide should bother you. Okay, whether it's in Marvel Rivals or in Doom or in any other media place where people are meeting and having conversation. We talk about 9/11. World War II gets brought up in the chat all the time. We got people that want to type N-word towers and things like that. But, that doesn't end up censored in the game chat. But when you can't even type out the numbers 1989 in that order without that being banned from even being posted in the game chat in Marvel Rivals.
That's sad, because that's the year I was born, so I can't even be proud of being born in 1989. That's just really crap, and it's why I personally stay away from from Chinese apps like that, because one, I don't want them to have my data. Screw that. And also, it's because of the censorship. And the fact that people are okay with censorship is a huge issue.
Unfortunately,
look at what we're dealing with in our sphere. There's a divide going on with the woke right, who's trying to take over what the woke left behind. And the rest of gamers that just want to be left alone. They just want to play the game they want, whether it has sexy women or not. They don't want to rob developers of creative freedom, which both sides, extremes, want to.
Well, and two, we're also dealing with China. What China does over there and on their end is they go out and they ban sexual stuff too. They've done a ban on pornography, despite allowing their people to start OnlyFans that only traffic in Western currencies. But whatever. Porn is banned in China, and so when you start hearing this kind of stuff, is just start pointing rather these people to China's laws on banning porn and be like, hey man, maybe you should immigrate. It seems like you'd be more happy in this place that violently responds to this stuff, so that way you kind of get that itch scratched. Yeah,
same with Russia. They do the same thing.
Yeah, they arrested a bunch of fanfic writers. But speaking of censorship and running up a hill here, we do have the gameplay footage for my Shirumi in Street Fighter 6 now. I need to turn off the volume. There we go.
Yeah.
It'll play. There it is. So no love loss here. They went and made sure that she is not. As you can see, they wanted you to know right up front that Mai has not been Tiffa'd. Tiffa'd, if you prefer.
Yeah. She
And
looks
so,
amazing. Like if you compare it
yeah.
to like the first trailer that we saw her in, her face looks beautiful.
Yeah, they've really done a lot of work to make sure that they retain that anime-like quality and don't get too human-like the Mortal Kombat characters did.
Yeah, and I think the King of Fighters development team would be pissed if Mai was uglified. Because that's
Mai has again Tifa, very important character, right? Mai is generational. Not that Tifa isn't, but Mai has been around since I want to say the middle 80s, right? That's when
mid 80s, early 90s, I believe.
Right, and so Mai is very much like the Pamela Anderson of video games, you know. And
well, her and Chun-Li are basically
right. If you you get Cammy in there as well, and Street Fighter again had some very beautiful women, and so
same with Mortal Kombat too, and they
even
him.
Even Tekken didn't really line up as well as Street Fighter's women. Tekken had cooler looking guys, Jin Kazama, King, those guys. And the women of Tekken are kind of forgettable. They don't really magnify the way that, as you can see right here, Mai does.
And it's all about King of Fighters, Street Fighter, and then back in the day it was Mortal Kombat as well. But now Mortal Kombat, NetherRealm, decided to listen to Anita Sarkeesian and ruin Mortal Kombat for people.
All right. Everybody's got opinions. Bowsette says Jury's better than mine. Mai's better than Chun-Li. And I'm like, well, you don't say that too loud at a gaming convention, okay? That's just my best advice. but
Mai looks fantastic. I'm so happy that they didn't uglify her.
Well, and that's where we're lucky is that somehow Capcom managed to put this out before all that woke stuff took over their control board, their managing board. So we get this. I don't know if she'll remain this way going forward. Capcom has made many statements that they're going to be embracing woke going forward. They've added a bunch of ideologues to their board of directors. What is the word I was going for earlier? Board of directors. So we don't know. This might be the last time that you get to see a truly satisfying Mai.
Yep. Also, we've seen Mai being censored here. Mai has been censored in the US since she debuted because in Japan, she is a lot more revealing and her bust is like more prominent. In the US, it's not like that.
Well, and again, different strokes for different folks. The Japanese have a much more mature populace than we do. They are, and I would say mature as in the sense that they're exposed to a more adult culture sooner than we are, but not in a direct manner. And that they're brought into the beaded curtain section of the rental house. It's more over that, like in shows like Super Sentai, you'll have characters in various state of undress, and it's not meant to elicit a sexual reaction in children, moreover to prepare them for the eventuality of it.
Yeah.
So,
but also the new Dynasty Warriors came out, and it seems like everyone is loving it. Even the journalists are loving it too. Well,
speaking of loving it, right? Speaking of loving it, we do have a interesting announcement. It looks like Tencent and the Gilman family are. This isn't confirmed. This is from the inside that they are in talks about dumping Ubisoft and just starting a new thing together. So taking all the thing that's wrong with Ubisoft and then just starting a new company so nobody knows it's the same thing.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Well, what I want to point out is that that's how bad things are at Ubisoft, that they're just going to dump Assassin's Creed, that they're just going to dump all the other games that they've made, X Defiant, all that stuff, just dump it all and start from scratch. That's how bad it is at Ubisoft, that they're just going to abandon ship and leave everybody to sink.
Sad.
It's astonishing, and it leads us into what happened with Ubisoft announcing that on March 20th they'll be doing Assassin's Creed Shadows release. The problem is that Japan, the target of the the target, the people that were. I'm sorry, it's. I'm just a little distracted trying to bring up this web page. So here we go. Now I can talk. So what it is that the 20th of March is the exact 30th anniversary of Japan's sarin gas attack in the subway that happened in 1995. Why this is important is that it is the most violent domestic terrorist attack in Japan's history. And Ubisoft has created a game where a foreigner is going around murdering Japanese, and this foreigner is calling himself the Justice of the Japanese. Okay? And this has nothing to do with the cult. Okay? The cult that created the sarin gas bombs, they were an amalgamation of Buddhism, Christianity, little bit of Torah, a little bit of the Torah in there, but like early, very early kind of stuff, early teachings, and mostly just feel good vibes from like the yoga videos. Okay. Their leader thought he was the second coming of Christ, as most, groups that go on to like blow up places do. And the event was traumatizing. 13 people died. One of them was an 18-year-old girl on her way to school, had her whole life ahead of her and had no idea what the grievances of this cult were and was a victim of it. 5,000 other people were injured in the process. And of those 5,000, about 300 of them have neurological disorders as a result of it. Okay. And now Ubisoft, in their infinite wisdom, after the one-legged Tory Gate, after all the accusations of like shoving Myanmar's rice fields into feudal Japan and stealing a Buddha statue from China and slapping that into the middle of their lands, all the AI that they use, stealing the Sekigahara's battle flag, all of that. After all of that, Ubisoft decides to release their game about killing Japanese people on the 30th anniversary, the exact 30th anniversary of the most violent domestic attack on Japanese soil, domestic terrorist attack. It is mind-blowing.
Well, the thing that I think is interesting, because I looked at what Japanese Twitter was saying, and they are just, I have not seen any of them. I've seen like burner accounts, so I don't know if they are, I doubt they're like Japanese. They're probably Americans using Google Translate, because that does happen a lot, surprisingly, for agenda purposes. But I've seen more Japanese Twitter users just talking about how Ubisoft went from releasing Assassin's Creed Shadows around the same time as Monster Hunter's Wild to the Xenoblade Chronicles remake.
Yep. And that, again, that could be what's going on their end, but I don't know, to be honest with you.
It does really sit bad with me because it's like the 30th anniversary of this. But at the same time, I'm just looking at what Japanese Twitter is saying, and they're not that concerned about it. I've seen way more Westerners concerned about this and like getting triggered by this than the Japanese fans.
Which is bizarre, but it is what it is. The Japanese choose not to be affected by this. My assumption is that if you go making too much of a big deal about this kind of domestic terrorism being possible, the social cohesion again between Japanese will erode. And so, much like how we go around and Biden goes labeling half this country domestic terrorists, all the MAGA people are going to rise up and destroy everything someday. And Japan doesn't want to run that risk of letting people know that it's possible that another group could go out and do this, despite letting Om Shinrikyo, the cult that did this, continue to exist in Japan to this very day. Japan likely doesn't push this like we do 9/11 because they don't want to upset people into thinking that it could happen again.
Well, it's also not giving, the terrorists what they want either. So there is that.
Yep, and that's likely why the Japanese on the ground don't really react to it in the way that one might expect. You know,
there's another holiday though on the same day.
Yes,
It's the
vernal
equinox.
equinox. Yeah,
Yeah, like that's what people are. I've seen more Japanese people talk about is that it's really seeing the same day as the equinox and also the same day as Xenoblade Chronicles remake.
Well, and again, it's one of those things where and that's one of those things that just kind of you got to deal with, I guess. That another culture is not going to feel the same way about it, and maybe that's what Ubisoft did. Is they reached out to their Japanese department and they were like, "Hey, if we put out our game about killing Japanese on the anniversary of the date of a lot of Japanese people being killed, will that piss off a lot of Japanese people who are alive?" And the office is probably like, 5 or 10,
Well, there's also the fact that they're ignorant and don't know what that is, and that's all also the fault of not hiring cultural consultants right away, and actually qualified cultural consultants right away, because they would have said something like, "This is kind of weird. We shouldn't be doing this." But I think this is more of like a happy accident or a bad accident than anything else. I think they're, because you gotta understand the French are fucking ignorant, and they
Sure.
even my anime insiders like, yeah, we don't there's a lot of racist French people and they don't like them.
Sure.
So they already are. I think the bigger issue, at least in my opinion, is violating the cultural laws of getting permission for using certain things in the game. I think that's the bigger problem. That in like the AI and putting other people's culture up in there, I think that is probably the biggest issue, more so than the release date.
Well, and again, it's just one of those things that, they're not. I don't believe that Ubisoft is ignorant on this. The thing about this is that Alexis Cotier didn't invent this number while he was taking a poop. He didn't jump out of the shower and say, "We're releasing the game on the 20th. Fuck anybody who says otherwise." And then from him, it went down to Dumonte and Benoit, the people that are in charge of the project. From those guys, it went down to the people that have to generate the graphics for it. From those people, it went down to the people who have to generate the press packs for it. From those people, it went down to the people who have to translate it. So all in all, your best conservative, tiniest amount of people that came across this date is about 100. And about out of those 100 people, about 70 of them had to stare at it pretty intensely. When you're in advertising, you want to take every advantage possible. Okay? So they were Googling that date. They were 100% aware that was the vernal equinox. That's why they're putting the game out then, because they want people to be out of work because they're on vacation, and they got nothing better to do. So they'll go buy the game because that's why Xenoblade's coming out on that day.
Yeah. So that's my line of thinking, is more so of that than the sarin gas.
But they knew. But there's no way you can find out that it's the vernal equinox and not find out that it's the 30th anniversary of that attack. There's no way that you can't find out that information at the same time.
Well, exactly. But I think they're just looking at, maybe thinking, okay, they're not going to care because it's the equinox. And also not just that, it's Xenoblade's coming out the same day. That I think is the bigger problem, is Xenoblade's coming out the same day. And that's what Japanese gamers are going to buy. They're not going to buy Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah, and Alpha Omega is explaining they shut down their Japanese branch last month. Yeah, and that,
And they shut down the San Francisco branch too when X-Defiant flopped.
So that's, I think, again, we're dealing with a company that saw that and said, we're just going to flip the coin, that we're going to put it out on the vernal equinox and hope that we get plenty of people to pick it up and buy it. And we're just going to plug our ears and hope that it doesn't become an international issue.
It's already an international issue.
Well, I mean, to the level that it was when the government was getting involved over the Sekigahara situation, when they were the government.
They're probably going to get involved if enough people reach out to them and be like, yeah, they're using a Buddha statue and a lantern that they need to kind of get permission from. They probably didn't get permission to use it. So that I think is going to lead more so to an international incident as well. And also they've not like really, they've done the corporate apology for the Sekigahara incident. They haven't like done an actual, it's not genuine at all, especially since the art book is still coming out with images of the Sekigahara flag. So they're just being stupid. Ubisoft is just making so many mistakes.
Well, and speaking of mistakes, we also have Starfield coming out and saying gore and dismemberment were removed from Starfield due to technical limitations, says the former Bethesda dev. So
that doesn't surprise me. They're just not. They're stuck using Unreal Engine 5, I think, and I don't think Unreal Engine 5 can do a lot of that stuff. But also, I gotta wonder if this is an ESRB thing too, or Sero in the case of Japan.
Well, we were lucky that we have this from Sheet Poster reminding us what games used to look like. When you could have all that body dismemberment and massive map exploration and all this stuff. And this is just from the PS2, guys. This is just PS2.
Yeah, even PS3 games had it too.
But now we got Unreal 5 and we can see all the hair follicles, and that's super duper important, don't you know? We got to have those hair follicles because how can you play a game without all the hair? Got to have the hair.
It didn't work out so well for Dragon Age Veilguard.
Well, speaking of those guys, Moon Studios CEO Thomas Mahler comes out and comments on Witcher 4. He says, Witcher 3 came out about 10 years ago, and Witcher 4 isn't made by the same people that made Witcher 3. He says, brand means nothing. Talented teams are everything. Of course, he writes a big, longer statement about this. But this is Thomas Mahler, the guy that's behind Moon Studios. He got popular more popular a couple months ago when he went head to head with Alyssa Mercante, running him up a flagpole about crazy things. And he's very right about this. CD Projekt Red announced, a bunch of people from CD Projekt Red left and started Rebel Wolves. They're putting out a game called Blood of the Dawnwalker, I think it's called. And, Witcher 3 is not looking, Witcher 4 isn't looking too bright. A lot of decisions are being made about it that are up, down, left, and right. They're not making it clear what they're up to, and Geralt's gone. He's not the central character to this. So it's another situation where bait and switch. We'll bring you in on the Witcher brand and then give you nothing about the Witcher, like what we got with Dragon Age.
Yep, it's totally a bait and switch. It's ridiculous, man, what they're doing. But, I mean, they want to run their shit into the ground. That's on them.
Right. It's okay to kill this stuff. See, I don't have any love for it. If the Witcher goes away, good. The best parts of The Witcher already happened, guys. It's not going to get any better.
Also, you have the books, too. I know it's because I get frustrated about when people tell me why I'm frustrated about anime adaptations not adapting the manga correctly when the manga is right there. It's like, well, people have wanted this experience. They want to see this art come to life. It's the same thing with book adaptations. I stopped watching book adaptations after, what was it? Book Half-Blood Prince for Harry Potter. I just couldn't take it anymore because I want to see what's in, what I'm reading come to life. And that's why I'm not watching Percy, even though I love the Percy Jackson franchise. I'm not going to watch the series because they completely changed the original vision. And I feel like I still am standing by that it's probably Disney's racial quota that intervened with this, with Percy Jackson. I'm hoping that it's not going to happen with Harry Potter. I know that Hollywood Reporter came out with some rumors about some racial swaps, but they're not even in negotiation. So I can't take that shit seriously until there's an official confirmation. I'm not taking that shit seriously.
So Alpha Omega says, yeah, the usual suspects are already attacking
I saw
Rebel
this.
because one dev is gay and therefore the game will be woke.
I saw this with Ghost of Yode too. They were attacking. They were saying the game's going to be woke because a couple of designers on there are gay, and it's like, no, that's not it. No, and plus they don't have any. They're not the writing team. The writers are the ones that, and the director too, are the ones that are going to have the effect on the story and make it woke. It's not because there's a flag in their freaking bio. It's what that is to me is that they're coming like they're starting to become extremely homophobic, and I don't think they realize it or they care, or if they do, they don't care.
A lot of people are looking at the 9 times out of 10 thinking on this, that every time they've seen that that rainbow flag in somebody's bio, it has led to the game being awful. And so I think it's more like pattern recognition, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it'll pass the grade. Rebel came out and said that they're pro diversity. So again, they're looking for investors, so they have to say certain things, but we'll have to wait and find out if the blood of Don Walker is able to, tell a story about Europe without having some characters that maybe weren't part of Europe at that time.
Yeah, that gets very. I mean, speaking of that, Castlevania Nocturne Season 2 trailer dropped, and the moment I saw it, I'm like, dude, this shouldn't be even called Castlevania. It's not fucking Castlevania. It's a completely different story.
Exactly.
They got
even the first one wasn't Castlevania.
Well, the first season, from what I heard, the first season was closest to the games. It was after maybe the first 2 seasons, but after that, that's when it just went into complete fan fiction.
It had the locations, it had the characters. It loosely had the same kind of like, you got to do this, do that, and do the next thing kind of situation. But it really was just a bleeding heart over its own story. And not that I hate it, I just wish it wasn't Castlevania. I wish that they had said, this is a different story. This is like the Belmont Chronicles, something that's not Castlevania. Because when you go in there expecting wall chicken, you expect the tropes and behaviors of this story, but instead you're getting, unfortunately, a My Chemical Romance music video extended out into a whole anime series. And it's really hard sometimes to get through it because it's like, I don't care. I don't care about how the evil vampires feel about their situation. I want them to be dust, but no, we're going to spend 2 episodes agonizing about these vampires and how they feel about being vampires. I don't care. I want Simon Belmont to show up with his sparky whip and blow them to pieces and move on with some quippy one-liner. But no.
Oh, and there's a lot of cursing too. A lot of F-bombs.
Yeah, well, they wanted to be different from anime, and that was the only way they could figure.
Even though they say fuck a lot in anime and manga too, unfortunately localization kind of censors it a bit.
Right, and that's what's the difference, is they wanted to push it. So Tomb Raider, Concord, Mortal Kombat, Overwatch, and Dustborn. Yep. Well,
I don't know how Tomb Raider is getting a season 2, and people really did not like it. They did not like lesbian Lara Croft.
It was probably greenlit before. It was probably part of the contract to get it off the ground, is that it got 2 seasons. After the strikes, nobody was playing anything safe, so they definitely went for the throat there. And speaking for going for the throat, though, it comes out that Star Wars Jedi Survivor, that's right, the one with the ginger boy there, ginger character, I think his name is Kyle, something like that, reportedly outsold Star Wars Outlaws across Europe in 2024. So if you were looking for a Star Wars game, this one that's almost 10 years old now, yeah, I think Jedi Survivor, when did Jedi Survivor come out? Hold on. Jedi Survivor release date 2023. Oh yeah, sorry, it was 2023. Whatever, you can't tell anymore, but yeah, it was 2023. So this one that's from the previous year, that's the one that people went for rather than Outlaws. So
I've heard good things about Jedi Survivor.
Well, yeah, JoJo is the true castle. Yeah, it's closer. It really is. If you strip away the stands, it's closer. It definitely is. But Star Wars Outlaws is not going to do well. They already hired a new person to lead the team going into the expansions, the DLCs, and things like that. But Um, there comes a point when you need to acknowledge that it's not going to get better from here. You're not going to bring people into Star Wars Outlaws because the name now brings a bad taste to people's mouths. And I'm not saying Outlaws alone has this. It's Star Wars. When someone says Star Wars, there's a chest tightening part of you that's like, you know what? I don't want to hear it because I know it's not going to make me happy. And so we got diehards out there that anybody with a glow stick and a little whoop whoop robot running around with them, they'll go for it. You know, you got those guys. But by and large, people who were formerly in love with this franchise want nothing to do with it. I've heard even like diehards like Ryan Kinnell say that the new stuff has just kind of tainted some of the other stuff in the past, that it's just hard to think about it now without all the other crap flooding in with it.
It might be why James Mangold is doing the Star Wars. His Star Wars movie is going to be like in the past, like way before the Skywalkers and all that.
Well, they all are. So was the Acolyte, though.
Yeah.
And they're doing that because I wrote fan fiction for like 15 years, however long. That's rule one in fan fiction. Don't create new stuff. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your OC. Nobody cares about all the cool places you've invented for your characters to go. They know what they know the franchise, they know the current existing characters. That's what they want. So that's what they're doing, is they're taking what's known about Star Wars and they're going into the past and they're going to take figures from the past and create new stories with those characters who were not further explored beyond their either initial introduction or the initial adventure that brought on their creation. And then they're done. They're gone. And that's what happened in Acolyte. Almost all the characters that are present in the Acolyte that were not created for the story in the Acolyte, like the witches and Osha, those characters, every other character that exists is only there to verify the Acolyte's story. That yes, this is Star Wars because Yoda's in it, guys. Yoda's in it. There's a Chewbacca, guys. That means it's Star Wars, guys. And that's what this old one that Mangold's working on is simply going to do. Is it's going to take whatever the EU event had, the expanded universe had to talk about the early times, like back when Force users were like toad men or something. I don't remember what they looked. They looked like toads to me, but those are the original inhabitants of the Jedi Island where Luke was taking refuge in the second one there, Jackass Awakens. I don't remember what it was, but that's what fan fiction does, is it takes what's known and then builds out of that. And that's what it is. So Mangold's thing, just fan fiction.
It's just frustrating because it's similar with Halo. There's so many books you could adapt and they don't.
That might actually be part of the problem. Survivor had faster pacing and played like an action game. Well, Outlaws is slow and kind of boring looking. Outlaws wanted to do Fallout. That's from what I've seen, like all the time that Mahler has been playing the game. Outlaws wanted to do Star Wars Fallout, but they couldn't commit to the charm because what Disney wants Star Wars to be is a very constrained, tiny box of iconography. They don't want heart. They don't want story, because story is going to move into royalties that they have to pay to previous writers because ideas were borrowed from there. Like the Thrawn trilogy is costing them a huge amount of money just in royalties because they've been forced to have to do that almost 1-to-1 to bring that character through, and they have to pay out the butt to do that. And they don't want to do that. That's why the Acolyte is just, look at this. That's Star Warsy. Look at that. That's Star Warsy. That's why this new Star Wars stuff that they're making is just simply an attempt to build off of the visual aesthetic of Star Wars, not any of its meaning.
It's sad. It's very sad.
Yep. So that's out of the way. That's those guys are into the dustbin of history. So, and I'm one of those people that's happy for it. See, I believe that it's okay to lose all this stuff.
Because it gives rise to new IPs.
Well, exactly. And moreover, it gives rise to new culture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of tired of the boomer culture. I'm kind of bored of it.
I've been tired of boomer culture. I've never experienced like boomer culture. Like probably if you're in Texas or if you're in the Midwest. My mom like left Chicago to come to California because she was so tired because my grandparents were really strict conservatives and my mom was not having it. So when she got the chance, she moved to California. So that's why I'm like, I really didn't experience the boomer culture that a lot of people did because my parents, as my dad is from like extremely lefty family in New York. So I did not experience like the same stuff that like again someone in the Midwest or in Maine or Texas experienced because my parents were more on the liberal side of things. So
sure, again, it's a little different as you go, but as far as like as far as things are today, we're I guess it's like Bowsette explained that woke IPs and woke culture kind of rule the roost at the moment. But this is again the turning of the soil, the new IPs. This has to happen when people
that's
look
why
at
indie games are thriving.
Right. When you look at like Transformers and you say, oh wow, it's so sad that they didn't make a Transformers game where you're Bumblebee again, and there's a war between the Decepticons and the Autobots, and there's some people that are caught in the middle of it, and it's very scary. Oh no. The Marvel superheroes, they're gonna fight each other on the big screen, and that Captain America that flies around, he's gonna cut a car in half with his wings. Wow. And that's where we're at, is that it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they do. If they took Mega Man and they made the best Mega Man movie ever, it would still fall flat on its face for like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, because they can't resist the agenda. They can't resist stuffing in stupid things that completely take you out of the movie or disgust you in the movie.
And it's why Diamond Comics is filing for bankruptcy.
Yep. They're on their way out. And, this is where we're at with why Japanese media is running wild here, why it's spreading like wildfires, because by comparison, it's not necessarily that Japanese media is based. They just have a different culture than we do. Yeah. They're in this stuff. They have gay people too. They have the LGBT struggles. They have the communist struggles, all that stuff. It just represents itself differently in their culture.
It's not like propaganda. It's actually just, and same with the politics in Japanese media. Like best example, Kingdom, that's Chinese. It takes place during the civil state, like near the end of the civil states era, because they're the whole goal is to unify China. And how the politics are written in Kingdom is just amazing. And a lot of the writing, and Spencer knows this because he reads Kingdom, like a lot of the quotes from Kingdom, it's very relatable to what's happening right now and can be used right now.
Well, and again, I mean, like what I'm moreover referring to is that American media is stale to Americans, no matter how it's presented. You do a Transformers movie, people are like, oh, okay, cool. Optimus Prime's going to fight Megatron. Neat. Cool. Bumblebee's going to say some dumb things. Cool. Great. Marvel movie. Thor's going to be an idiot. Captain America's going to say something inspirational. Tony Stark will say something that makes somebody go, yeah. And that'll be it. The end. Roll credits. Post-credit scene. Nick Fury's eating a donut. And it's just, people have become so used to the formula of American media that even the most formulaic Japanese media, meaning the shonen battle anime, becomes the tippity top of anime in the US because it's different. And we can't break ourselves with this pattern. Like I was talking about earlier with the Power Rangers movie they're trying to make over at Paramount. It's going to be 5 teenagers with attitude. One jackass is going to be in green, try to beat the hell out of the other ones. And that's going to be the movie, as it always is, because they can't get out of that. They don't, as I said earlier, they don't think outside of that. They're fan fiction writers.
Well, there's also Japanese media does have constraints. If we're talking about like anime and video games, but manga though, it's a lot different. There's a lot more creative because Akamatsu has been fighting for artistic freedom for mangakas for years, even prior to getting elected. And there's a lot more artistic freedom in manga. So that's why you're seeing, I think that's what part of why you're seeing people like gravitate to series like Sakamoto Days or Chainsaw Man and Spy Family, because there is that artistic freedom. It's not like straight up agenda pushing. No, it's just a fun series.
Well, and you got Timon here, and he says, here's a Transformer game idea, open world sandbox. You were a robot that fell to Earth. You have no affiliation, and you can scan any vehicle using the infamous kind of good bad mechanics. Sure, Fable with Transformers. You know, I don't see a problem with that. That you're just a protoform. Why do I know this stuff about Transformers?
Or no. I think Star Wars Unleashed but Transformers is better because your actions dictate which side you're going to go on.
Sure, you know, a protoform that was being imprinted on by Megatron escapes, and for whatever reason doesn't join the Autobots immediately. I can see that. But you know, we have better ideas just out here in the chat, just real. Oh yeah, that's right. We're already getting trans Fable. You got a point. But again, just in the chat, randomly pulling ideas out of the air.
Infamous too. Infamous is another example you could pull from in terms of a Transformer game, because same thing. Infamous, your actions determine if you're a hero or a villain.
Well, and you know, like I said, though, is that we can come up with better ideas here. These people don't want to because they're fan fiction writers. They're agenda-driven fan fiction writers. They're not creative entities.
Well, they're more like activists than anything else.
You're not dealing with people who want to take the Transformers concept and do something different with it, meaning we're going to take the Transformers out of it. No more Cybertron, no more Megatron, no more Optimus, no more Bumblebee, no more humans getting in the way of everything. They're going to be transforming robots in space that do a completely different thing now. It's not going to be called Transformers. It's going to be something brand new. We heard from Bob Iger. They're not doing new things. Disney leads the way in family entertainment, so don't expect Hollywood to make any new changes outside of Disney's prerogative. There you go.
Well, that's where indie is starting, again, indie films and stuff like that are starting to rise up. Even fan-created stuff on YouTube is starting to rise up.
Well, and I've talked about it a lot on here before, is that most millennials don't have a Netflix account anymore. They've ditched it. They've gone and they've moved over to YouTube almost entirely. Is that YouTube just has the content we're looking for. TV shows are great and all, but like, who has time to binge watch anything anymore? Not a lot of people. So instead, they watch clips.
Too. Millennials have been the ones that are pirating more than Zoomers, because we've been doing it for a long time.
And so the streaming platforms are losing their energy because the conversation around media is more interesting than just consuming it now. And so you see this with like Geeks and Gamers, Friday Night Tights, Nerdrotic, these individuals that are engaging in a conversation with people that are not interested in watching these movies at all. Wouldn't matter what Star Wars put out right now. They will go and listen to Gary and Jeremy and Ryan talk about it before they'll ever set foot in a movie theater to see it with their own eyes. And I think that's fine. That teaches Hollywood a very valid lesson that they need to be in that chat. They need to be listening. They need to be sending super chats and getting involved in this conversation so they understand exactly how to make the money they want to. Until then, we're going to continue getting things like Zendaya as Mary Jane, or Margaret Jones, or whatever the hell her stupid name was. You know, not Mary Jane, guys. Totally different. Don't think. Yeah, you're still going to get blunderous ideas like that. You know, Ironheart, all this stuff, because they are not interested in engaging with the consumer. They're interested in lecturing to the consumer.
That's both sides, though, too, because I sent you this Paul Tassi thing, and something that happened is because the numbers for The First Descendant went down, according to Steam charts. The woke right decided to say, oh, gamers don't want lewd content. Nah, they want actual gameplay. Or some said they want actual gameplay, but like the people that are saying this are the ones that have been promoting like a full-on nationwide porn ban. And they also talk about Stellar Blade and love Stellar Blade, or in some cases, Tomb Raider.
Right, and so there's no consistency. There's people that are all over the place on this one, but First Descendant is one of those games that, like most of them, is sort of a flash in the pan for people getting interested in it. Like any launch, it's going to have a lot of people jump in and play it for a long time. But I want to point out there's 9,000 people still playing that. And if it was truly so dead, then it would be down in Concord numbers. And that's nowhere near Concord numbers. I'm not defending it. I'm merely saying that the drop off is explainable because it didn't have a wide appeal.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say that just didn't, from what I've read from actual gamers, is that it's because there is no content. Until they maybe when they release new content, the numbers will go back up. But right now there's nothing there.
Right, and as Bowsette explains here, there's a lot of grind involved, and so if it's just leading nowhere at the moment, that the grind might not be pushing it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it is. That's what I was saying, is that it didn't have a wide appeal. It's not necessarily that it was like very niche, right? It's not that it's very niche. It's that when you look at it, it's very much a game that's going to more. I'm not trying to dance around the beautiful women part of it. What I'm trying to explain, is it's difficult to reiterate at this hour, is that the First Descendant takes the energy out of a Fortnite game, but tries to make you still play Fortnite at the same time, from what I've seen. It's not like the battle royale situation, constructing, that sort of thing, but you're in a situation where you're running around a lot, right? It's not like Skyrim running around. It's a very Fortnite-y run around. And I think that's really where it draws off, is that there's a lot of dead zone with the game. And it really makes you think that there should be more energy in it based on its stylization. And that's what I mean about not appealing to a lot of people, is that you go and you stylize something to look like a Ford Mustang, and then you put 4 doors on it and put an electric engine in it, and then try to call it a Mustang.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about, is it's not, you get the wrong expectation out of it. And I think that's what happened with it. Had they been more like engaged in, I would say, like the phonetic kind of more rapid engage energy that like Fortnite, for Fortnite energy with realistic graphics, it just kind of, again, it sets you up for a high energy experience, and it gives you that occasionally, but a lot of the time it's a lot of drag time.
Yeah. But if they were like releasing content like Fortnite is, like on a regular basis, then
again, I don't know if you want First Descendant Fortnite. I just think that if they've picked up the kinetic energy with it, it would be a bit more in line with what the visuals are suggesting about it. But that's just me. I don't play the game. I watch people play the game. I personally don't play a lot of video games one-on-one. I like to watch other people play video games because flatly I suck at them. I spent 9 months trying to get through Blair's ice cave in Pokemon Silver. 9 months. I had level 70 Pokemon when I entered her gym. Okay. Like, that I'm terrible at it. When we played Halo, when I was a kid, in high school, we were playing Halo, and the group player Halo came out. I think it was Halo 2 and Halo 3. I was the deer in the game. Like, the other guys I was playing with would just hunt me. They give me a sniper rifle as a short range weapon, because you give me a rifle, I'm all over the place. It's not so short range, a sniper rifle on a short range, one hit and you're done. So that was the threat, is that if I could hit you, it was over with. The deer shoots back, that kind of thing. But that's with me, is that I prefer watching other people play the game, because it's just not. I don't enjoy the gameplay. I enjoy the story in the game, and I enjoy the visuals of the game. I enjoy like playing group games like Pico Park and Minecraft and Among Us and stuff like that. But apart from that, I'm not really interested in engaging with a 19-hour by myself, watching a person trudge through the snow kind of experience. I'm kind of over that. That's why I didn't buy Death Stranding, because that's just Daryl delivers, So.
But yeah, I don't know about you, but like I've just been seeing so much puritanical stuff, and like this someone was saying that this is really the return of the satanic panic, and I kind of have to agree. It's just getting ridiculous. Maybe it'll actually, because it's from the woke right and not the woke left that's doing this, maybe we'll get NetherRealm to actually make a good Mortal Kombat game again with really hot characters.
Timon says 9 months. Yeah, Cider, you are not a gamer. Like, well, it's bad. It
took me a while to beat Whitney's Miltank. That Miltank is fucking evil, man. Oh, that is some PTSD levels of evil.
A friend of mine brought me into PUBG. And we were playing it for a while. I was just basically the bait. So I'm noob, and I would just go around doing noob things. And the guy I was playing with was like one of those guys that's like been in ranked matches for that or whatever, one of those things. And so he would just pop out and deal all the damage, and then I just hand him the first aid kits, and we just move on. So I was like the bait duck, the decoy duck out in the middle of the pond that lures their ducks in to go ahead and bap, and he took them out. I just classically, the gameplay part of it has always been a challenge for me. It's just, I liked playing the Zoids game because you just run around and look at things. That's what I do in Minecraft. I don't go try to get diamond armor and go crazy and fight monsters all the time. I've never beaten the Ender Dragon. All I do is generate maps and walk around on them and look at how neat these square vistas are. That's it. That's all I do. I own Horizon Zero Dawn because I like the movie. That's it. I like the movie of the cutscenes. I don't play the game. I get through it enough to get to the next cutscene. That's it. I truly don't enjoy the gameplay in Horizon Zero Dawn. It's very annoying. The targeting system annoys the hell out of me. I'm sure it's great for anybody else who's used to it. It just annoys the hell out of me to have to do that. I just watch it I have it for the cutscenes.
That's why I like playing JRPGs, because I don't have to deal with like really crappy targeting systems.
Yeah, well, in DS, yeah, but that's what it is that when it got out of like the pixels and stuff, and it was away from Sonic 3D, I stopped playing because I played Sonic 3D, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Riders was awesome. Loved Sonic Riders, so easy to play. But yeah, no, I have no, I'm not elite gamer material, not at all.
No.
Yeah, well, I do, but I wanted to own the game just like as ceremony, I guess. I do. I have it in a playlist of like all the games that, like the 9-hour Death Stranding movie. Great movie. Kojima should have turned that into a Netflix original series. It should not have been a video games. Fuck nothing to do with video games. And same thing with part 2. The part 2 is just going to be another Netflix original that you get to walk around inside of. And Kojima thinks he's inventive with that somehow. And it's just one of those things where like, you're going to run into this more and more now that the visual things are ramping up thanks to NVIDIA. It's just make a movie, guys. Why are you making a video game? Why are you making a movie with QuickTime events in it? Just make a movie, okay? Stop. The 5 minutes of gameplay between the 2 hours of cutscenes, it's enough. It's enough. Give it up.
Well, I think it is. Isn't it getting like a live action adaptation or something?
No, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know how you do that. It's already a movie. If you just cut the little bits of gameplay out, you really can't tell that it's missing anything. Go right now, tonight, if you want to. Watch that. Skip through it if you want to. You really cannot tell that you're walking for 2 hours between those cutscenes. It flows just like a movie. Daryl leaves the cutscene, walking out into the wide expanse. The cutscene that he begins next to begin the next cutscene, he's walking out of the vista that he just entered into. You have no idea that it was 2 hours worth of delivering packages to Conan O'Brien between there.
I just remembered this too, is that we got new casting for One Piece live action over the past couple of days. And one of them is Dragon. Let me just grab the one with Dragon here. But yeah, we got Dragon, we got Ingram, we got, I think, Ms. Here's the one for Dragon. But yeah, season 2 is coming, as you guys know. there is, I think the most controversial thing so far with this casting is, at least in my opinion, is Vivi, because they basically turned a Arab character into an Indian character. And the thing is that a lot of Arabs that I've seen on Twitter, they are not happy with it because they were expecting an Arab character in an Egyptian inspired place. I know there's argument that there's some Indian in there, but that doesn't mean you make the character Indian. I'm sorry, but there's also a big problem with Indian washing Arab characters. It's a whole different thing. But yeah, I'm really curious, Cider, what you think of the casting choices for Miss Golden Week and KM and Chess. I think they look okay for the most part. It'll be interesting to see the makeup.
Right. Well, you have to remember they do a bit of CGI enhancement on their faces too. We saw this with Mihawk. He had a bit of work done on his face to make him more anime accurate.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see these characters pretty close. That seems to be what the goal is with Oda involved with it. Is yes, they do some racial casting that's a little different. Like you got Ingram here that is gonna. You're gonna hear a lot about that.
Oh, you're going to hear it from the One Piece fans that are pissed off about a race swap.
Yeah.
They had to have at least one race swap. Well, two in the case of Vivi and her
There
dad.
will be more. There will be more. There will be more. They can't help themselves. And Netflix has the ultimate power over this. They give Oda what he wants to a point, but they have to, again, in order to keep that BlackRock money coming, they have to meet certain demographic requirements, regardless if it fits or not. And so I think Dragon's a hit. I think that's
so
a great.
I think Dragon looks perfect. They're obviously going to have to do like a prosthetic or something, or they'll do CGI for the nose. Yeah, I'm just thinking for the nose there might be a little prosthetic. They could do that, but
that's true.
But if not, then it's good. There's going to be a lot of makeup on the eyes, obviously. But man, they had to do three race swaps now. They had to do 3 of them.
Well, and they really can't help themselves because, like I said, they
think any character with a fro is black. So
well, yeah, we found out that Piccolo is a black guy. Apparently,
he's green coded, or he's black coded because he's green. I don't know.
Well, and Timon brings up a pretty big point. I never in my life wanted to see live action Dragon Ball. It never came across my mind that would be a good idea. Did my friends and I sit around and talk about how neat it would be if it was real? Yeah, but we were more in the line of like, it would be cool if we could fly and shoot ki from our palms. Not, it would be cool if Vin Diesel did that. You know, that's not what we were thinking. There really is no call to make anime real. That's it's one of those. It's another barrier between American entertainment and Japanese entertainment. Is that Japanese entertainment says this anime is really cool. I'm cool. I'm fine with that. And then again, you end up with live action things like the Yu Yu Hakusho movie that came out that doesn't suck, but it has its limitations because it's not an anime, and anime can do things that live action film cannot.
Yeah, and also there's stage productions too, and the stage production characters, they look way closer to the anime than say some of the Yu Yu Hakusho characters did. Kitty, be quiet.
Well, it's we're going to see more of it because One Piece's success will lead to the Gundam adaptation coming out. The guy that was working on the live action Gundam said that it wasn't going to be a retelling of the past. It was going to be a new story. So
at least it's like a completely separate thing.
Right. It's separate from the UC and any of the AU stories, which spells disaster. Very bad news. Because Sunrise is involved in this.
The fact that it's separate is a good thing because it means if it's ass, you could just say it's not part of Gundam.
Well, yeah, that's true. It can be Gundam saviored. Yeah.
But if it's Gundam, but if it's actually good, then you could say, oh, this is great. Like, we could acknowledge it. But like the thing is, for me, when it comes to live action adaptations, I understand why they're done. It's because there's a mentality of anime only being for kids. And Oda even said that the reason why he wanted a live action for One Piece was so that more people could see his story. Because there's still that stigma. Even in Japan, there's still somewhat of a stigma. So I understand why, but like in terms of live action adaptations, if the mangaka is directly involved with the production, then I'll be interested and look into it. Because 9 times out of 10, it ends up being really good. Kingdom's the best example of it. Hara, the mangaka for Kingdom, literally is co-writing the script. And the other script writer is let me see what he has worked on, like the One Piece anime movies, like One Piece film red, or not film red, One Piece Code Red. I don't know why I say film. But yeah, like there's adaptations like that and Golden Kamuy and stuff like that where they go the extra mile to make it like as close to the source material as possible. But that's because the director is really good, though. That's Shinsuke Sato. That's the director. He does fantastic work. He's directing the My Hero Academia live action, so we'll see if Hollywood lets him do what he wants. But if they do, then we'll probably get a good adaptation. If they don't, then it's not going to be the best. It'll maybe be it'll be meh.
Well, you know what's not meh, though, is the anniversary of your channel. Congratulations.
Yeah, today is my channel's 10-year anniversary. I can't believe I've been doing it for 10 years. It's been a very interesting journey for me because my channel originally was a booktubing channel where I could talk about books I couldn't with my friends because they're not reading addicts like me. And then I talk to some of the authors of the books I cover too, as well. But after a while, I was like, yeah, I'm not getting content out fast enough. I need to change it up. And then I shifted over to manga and anime, and it haven't looked back. And now I have over 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. And it's crazy that on Twitter, I have over 10,000 followers as well. So it's like, it's a tens across the board kind of situation for me.
It's your lucky number. 10,000 is your lucky number.
Right now it is. But I swear, if YouTube and Twitter weren't suppressing my content, or in the case of Twitter, purging my followers, I'd probably be having more followers by now, or subscribers in the case of YouTube. But
well, if you're here in the chat or in the replay and you want to check it out, here is the link to Miss Nerdigan's channel. Please make sure to swing by and check it out. If not, let her know on X at
or it's right there next to me, next to my name on the screen. That's my Twitter. Right,
yeah, at Packer Girl with a 9 instead of an A. And you could check her out and let her know that you're cheering for her, just like Richard here.
Oh, thank you.
Defeat the shadow ban.
It is a long fight because I went from having thousands of viewers to like barely getting 100 for some of the stuff I cover, and that really freaking sucks because I part of it I think is like even though manga has become more mainstream, still views are down. It drastically down compared to like even 5 years ago.
Well, you got to thank YouTube for that.
Yeah, YouTube's algorithm just doesn't like me. And I've told YouTube support, I'm like, look, I cover stuff that no one else covers, and I still get shit. And I can find my stuff easier. Like, it's easier to find my content on like Bing and Google than it is on YouTube or on Twitter. It's that insane.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. One misstep and you're painted forever. But do we have anything else?
This is after I got my blue check that this started happening on Twitter.
Well, I don't doubt it. Now you have attention called to you. Now they've got to make sure that you're saying the right things.
I guess I don't say the right things because I really don't care about what people think of me.
What I found is posting kittens in MAGA hats. So just have Grok generate a picture of a kitten with a MAGA hat and just post that, and the algorithm kind of starts rebehaving itself. Just do that for a couple of days, one MAGA kitten a day, and that seems to somehow tilt the scale.
It's It's crazy because like I think the funniest thing about this whole thing is that like even on Twitter I do cover like censored content and I'm getting censored. I'm getting suppressed.
Yep.
And it's stuff that no one's talking about either. So I don't understand why Twitter is treating me like this, especially since I've been on the platform for over a decade. So it's frustrating. It's really actually, yeah. Because I got on in 2012. Yeah. Man, it is extremely frustrating. Oh, another thing that it was insane that's happened during my tenure here is that Ken Akamatsu actually shared my content. I've had numerous mangaka share my content, but Ken Akamatsu sharing it was one of my UQ holder videos. Just was insane. It made my freaking life when one of my subscribers told me that in the comments. I was like, wait, what? What? But
well, I just wanted to say that Sakura Mita did some weekly Nerdigans art here and dressed it up pretty well. Nerdigans, you're apparently going to take Xeno and defeat some purple cat man. So,
oh my god, it's Killer Queen!
Oh, okay, all right. The eyes threw me off there. So
I don't know if it's supposed to be Killer Queen, but that's what it looks like to me. It looks like Killer Queen from JoJo.
It's from Pretty Cure Software.
Oh, Pretty Cure Software.
Now, you notice
the ESRB rating? Small?
The ESRB rating is BIC. You see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Rated for everybody. The Nerdigan's Awakening. And, well, Xeno's also buff, too. Look at him. He's got some muscle. Look at that. Look at the neck on Xeno. He's ready to take him down. You're apparently going to be fighting Mad Max and...
That sounds like fun.
Michael Ironside? But yeah, you know. From Pretty Cure Software. And 01. Why
are you making me look like Gwen when she went? Oh god, Gwen is amazing. I love fucking Four Eyes of the Apocalypse. I look like freaking Gwen when she's like in her peak form. She's all muscle.
There you go.
Nerdigan's Awakening. Yeah. Oh, Kitty's so cute. Seno, you do not recognize that you are being loved right now. He's like, I don't care. I'm on my catnip bed.
Can't eat it. Don't care. But
such a whiny kitty.
So but there you go.
Yeah, his birthday is next week. He'll be 7 years old.
Not 10.
No, not 10. So it's not 10s across the board.
One of them got through. Dang. But oh well. Well, happy early 7th. And do we have anything else or?
I think that's mainly it for the topics we covered. I got to get my groceries that were delivered during the show into some of it into the freezer and the fridge.
All right. Well, we'll see you later then. Thank you all for joining us, and until next time, good luck out there.
Mama, we must run. The Wendigo Yakuza are here.
We'll be okay. We're not alone.
Where did we park? We're there.
Cider took you to deliver those flowers.
You all don't stand a chance.
Underneath the moon's cold light, whispers linger in the night. Shadows dance with subtle grace. Secrets hide in every space. Velvet skies and sapphire dreams. Cities pulse, electric beams. Lonely hearts in shadowed bars. Fading tales beneath the stars.